You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent and Austen Show.
Welcome to the Players Championship, TPC Sawgrass 2024, round one underway on a beautiful morning in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida, here in the Northeast Florida area, and we have some really good scoring. You see those flags? That is not like a live shot. That is an older shot, because the wind is not blowing like that, and that makes for good scoring conditions. 3 under, many bunched up at the top at last check, including Rory McIlroy and Matt Kuchar. Matt Kuchar got off to a terrific start, 4 under after 3 holes, and now Rory McIlroy with birdies on 10, 11, and 12 to start his round. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Brent and Austen Show here on a Thursday, back out at TPC Sawgrass. Brent Martineau here, Austen Lane, back in the Action Sports Jax studios. We have a fun show lined up. We'll, of course, talk about the Players Championship. We'll keep you updated throughout. We have some stories to tell, and we'll have the Action Sports Jax team littered all over the course here to give us some updates on what's going on with the players. Andrew Catalon expected to join us as well. You know him from calling Jags games on CBS Sports. He also does March Madness and the Masters. So we've got a bunch to talk to about with my buddy Andrew Catalon. He is out in Las Vegas, by the way, at the Mountain West Conference Tournament. So we'll do that around noon. But first, hello to Austen Lane back in the Action Sports Jax studios. And when we left yesterday around 1 o'clock, Austin, we thought this could be a banner day in Jacksonville. They put a bow on free agency for the Jags with Calvin Ridley. And then the unexpected happens. The Titans swoop in with a big-time, mega deal for Calvin Ridley. Man, did he get paid or what?
Yeah, I mean, guy made a lot of money. You know, I think obviously there's a lot of disappointment right now in Jacksonville, and I think, it warrants some disappointment. It was always the Jags. You know, we were getting a little too cocky, thinking, wow, this free agency period's going fantastic. You got a center. You got some good pieces on defense. Shore up Calvin Ridley. Looks like he's coming back. Surely he wouldn't go to Tennessee or New England, 2 teams that are kind of on the rebuild, but lo and behold, at the last second, Tennessee comes by with a pretty enticing offer that he couldn't pass up, and now we get to see Calvin Ridley twice a year playing for the Tennessee Titans.
Well, I just want to get a bunch of different thoughts here, and obviously we can dissect this and talk about it. Ridley has been an interesting piece this entire offseason, really the last couple of years in Jacksonville, but especially these last few days around the National Football League. How crazy is the dollars that he got? Because the one thing I can't help but think of, take the Jags out of it. What a job by his team to get $92 million over 4 years and $50 million guaranteed, Austin. Comes out to about $23 million a year. If you go back to Mike Evans' deal, now it works out to be on Mike Evans, I think it was 2 years, $52 million. There's incentives based in there as well, but it was $20.5 million a year and then incentives. I can't help but think Mike Evans should have hit free agency because he cost himself some money by not hitting free agency and staying in Tampa.
No, he cost himself some money, but at the same time, I think Mike Evans wanted to remain loyal to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You know, he had been there for a long time. He owes that organization a lot. So I think Mike Evans and that organization got to work out a deal and saying, hey, you know, in terms of per year, it may not be that much. Now let's go and throw a lot of incentives out there, incentives that you can hit, and that's going to sweeten the pot a little bit. But I think you have a classic example here of Mike Evans, who has been a storied player in the organization for a long time, kind of offering them a discount. And you have Calvin Ridley, who was here on a rental for 1 year, who didn't really owe this organization anything.
Yeah, listen, I agree with that part. I mean, people, if you're mad at Calvin Ridley for getting paid, we told you this. He said it to us. I've had a bunch of comments, Austin, that were like, well, he said he wanted to be in Jacksonville, and he wants to continue on, and he wants to stay in the same system. Yeah, he did say that, if all worked out. He also said, it's a business, and I got to get paid. Like, I think that was his exact quote. I got to get paid. The day after the season, he was very upfront with everybody. We knew this could come down to dollars, and it did come down to dollars. The Jags were not going to pay that kind of money. Obviously, there was a ceiling here. Do you fault the Jags for not paying those dollars, Austin? Should they have matched what the Titans paid, or should they have made their offer better, more enticing for Calvin Ridley?
I mean, I think two things can be true here. I think that it's true that Calvin Ridley got more than a lot of teams were willing to offer. I mean, would I have paid him $23 million a year? I'll be honest, I would have asked Trevor Lawrence, what do you think? And if he was so hell-bent on keeping Calvin Ridley, I would have considered it. If that wasn't the case, then Calvin, we'll see you later, man. Best of luck in Tennessee. That can be true. It can also be true that once again, if you would have paid Josh Allen before, and I get it, it could have been a long stretch and all this stuff, but if you would have paid Josh Allen before the franchise tag and then tagged Calvin Ridley, we wouldn't be here right now. So to say that, there wasn't an error in terms of how they went about things, was it the most best scenario you could have ever had? Absolutely not. I think things could have been done a little better. I think in terms of urgency of, getting to Josh Allen's people, trying to get a deal done before the franchise tag, that could have took place. So you just see it now, and once again, it's a fresh reaction. There's still a lot of things to talk about, but where it sits right now, you had an opportunity to have Josh Allen and Calvin Ridley. And now you don't have Calvin Ridley, and Josh Allen still not paid yet.
Yeah, and that is the reality of it. I mean, obviously, we thought if you go back to Sunday and Monday morning, we thought this was the way it was going to work out. You go back to yesterday at like 10, 11, 12 on the show, on the Brent Austen show, and it's like, wait a minute now, we might be talking about a genius move by the Jags and Trent Baalke, and it really was starting to add up that way until the Titans, the word is they came in on Tuesday night and then started to really get going with the folks on the Calvin Ridley side, and the Jags were never going to get there. Sounds like the Patriots were never going to get there. I don't know how much the Patriots were even an option for Calvin Ridley. We expressed many times yesterday it didn't seem like it would be a good fit for him at this current stage. So if it was between the Patriots and the Jags, we thought the Jags would win out unless the money was nuts. Well, turned out this one was all about money. I mean, this isn't about going to play with Will Levis and play in Nashville and play for the Titans. Titans might be the worst team in the AFC South on paper, even still. This was about money, and at the end of the day, that's what it usually is about in free agency. My guess is he got more money than he ever imagined. I'm not even sure David Mulligetta thought he could get this kind of money for Calvin Ridley in this free agency period, especially the way it went on Monday and Tuesday before the Tennessee Titans called. And in the grand scheme of things, we asked three questions. If Ridley were to come back, what does this mean for the Jags offense? What does it mean for the organization to be able to pull him back in? What does it mean for Trent Baalke? Well, let's start in reverse order there, because what does it mean for Trent Baalke, Austin? We had a chance for him to, I use this term loosely, but it just works well, be a hero, and instead it feels like from the fan base he goes back to zero, which is where he was probably on the weekend before started making some of these moves that started looking pretty good for the Jags. And if he was able to keep Calvin Ridley, again, you would have to give kudos to Trent Baalke. But now because that move didn't work, I feel like everybody goes back to, oh, damn Baalke again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people had their hopes up of getting Calvin Ridley. I definitely did as well. I don't like giving up a third-round draft pick for a one-year rental. That's just me. I don't think that's good business. I don't think that's good value, especially when you didn't make the playoffs. So, I have an issue with that. And, yeah, it's another example of not being able to retain a player that I think a lot of guys in that locker room wanted, most importantly, Trevor Lawrence. So, yeah, I think Baalke's about to get some scrutiny. And keep in mind, now it's changed the draft up a little bit as well. If you would have kept Calvin Ridley, if you would have re-signed him, now wide receiver is not a question at pick number 17 or in the second round. Well, now it's got to be a serious concern. So are you taking the first-round wide receiver? Do you hope Brian Thomas or a player falls to you? What happens if he doesn't? Then what's the plan going to be? So, yeah, I think Baalke's going to get some stuff here.
Yeah, I think so too. Oh, by the way, that's a given. He is. You got to remember now, if you're just jumping in on the Trent Baalke stuff around here in Jacksonville, people aren't big fans of him to begin with. It doesn't matter. They won back-to-back years, went to the playoffs, any of that stuff. They've never been a big fan of him. They continue not to be a big fan of him for the most part. And he had really kind of turned that a little bit in the last few days, especially if Ridley was coming back. But with the Mitch Morse signing and some other signings in the secondary, people liked what he did over these last few days. You had to give him credit for it. And the exclamation point was going to be Ridley. But that move, it's pretty amazing, Austin, really, if you think about it. I mean, the move to get Ridley, it wouldn't have put him in crazy hero status here in Jacksonville, but it certainly would have changed a little bit of that thinking about Trent Baalke, at least for the time being this offseason. And that move alone just reverts it back, to all the questions and comments that you're having. Was it a one-year rental? Was it a bad trade? Why didn't they make this work? Why didn't they do the Josh Allen stuff? I mean, he was this close to erasing all that conversation. And now we're back with some of those bad feelings, and this goes a little bit toward the Jaguars organization again. The organization looked like they were going to trump the New England Patriots for Calvin Ridley. They were going to pull this off where they didn't have to give a second-round pickup. And instead, it's like, damn it, Jags once again. Not just damn it, Balky, but damn it, Jaguars. And it's pretty wild that this one move over the course of an hour has kind of changed those feelings about the organization and specifically Trent Baalke again.
As it should, right? Because, listen, I will say this until I'm blue in the face. I've echoed this so many times on this show, and I'll say it again. The most important things of this offseason are getting Josh Allen signed and taking care of Trevor Lawrence. When you lose a receiver like Calvin Ridley, who Trevor Lawrence has been on record saying he wanted to come back, yeah, I think fans know what's up. It's like, well, how does Trevor Lawrence feel about this? That's the most important thing out of all of this. Yes, I'm happy that they got a center. Yes, I'm happy that, going forward, they're probably going to address a little more in terms of what's going to happen at tackle and all of these things. But the whole point of this offseason is taking care of Trevor Lawrence, is giving Trevor Lawrence all the tools that he needs to be successful so we can find out if he is the guy or not. You just lost a giant tool with that, and I think fans understand that.
Just going to comment in, and to stay on that a little bit, not signing Ridley at 29 to a long-term deal is good business. Draft someone at 17. I will tell you this, Austin. I'm not as bent about the Ridley moving on signing as a lot of people are. And I want to be transparent here. If you rewind our conversations over the last month, we've talked about Calvin Ridley a lot, like everybody in Jacksonville has. And I never thought that he'd come back if he hit free agency. That's pretty clear. I think a lot of people were in that boat. And then all of a sudden it started to turn. We had some fun with that. I did say that, hey, listen, I'm cool with keeping Calvin Ridley. Like, I'm a fan of his. I won't even mind giving up the second-round pick. Like, if you're going to do it, just do it. Because I never thought the Josh Allen deal was getting done before the franchise tag deadline. Just didn't. I mean, whether we want to criticize that or not, that's fine. But the bottom line is it wasn't reality. It wasn't going to get done. And I think free agency is a perfect reason why we knew it wasn't going to get done. But you could have still signed him last week or earlier and said, okay, we're just going to give up the second-round pick. You could have done that last Tuesday once you franchise tagged Josh Allen and couldn't come to an agreement. So I would have been okay with that. But as we were talking about Ridley more and more, and as it's building in Jacksonville, and I thought it was a pretty wild scene the last couple of days with everybody clamoring for Ridley, and Ridley was going to save the organization, and Ridley, if we don't get Ridley in Jacksonville, everything stinks again. It's like, whoa, time out. Guy had 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. I thought he was really good. PI stuff, really good. I think he's a talented player. But there are a couple of ways to go here in Jacksonville. They still do have Zay Jones on the roster. He's not a bad player. He's not Calvin Ridley, but he's not a bad player. They did pick up Gabe Davis. It was a good insurance policy. And they do have draft picks in a deep receiver class here coming up in late April. In fact, we discussed it many times, and I was starting to wonder and almost talk myself into it. Are the Jags better off getting a draft pick at number 17 or even 48 and having a younger receiver, a cheaper receiver that can grow with Trevor Lawrence over these next 3, 4, 5 years and fit into the fold? Now, I get it completely. You've got to get the right guy. I understand that. There's not a lot of confidence that this guy is going to get the right guy. You got to leave that aside right now. I'm talking just philosophically and plan-wise what the Jags could do. And I don't hate that part of it, Austin. I don't hate the fact that at 17, if they were to do it, they could get a Brian Thomas or somebody like that, and he could fit into this receiving core and grow with Trevor Lawrence, and you got a 25-year-old Gabe Davis, and you got like a 27-year-old Christian Kirk, instead of a 30-year-old Calvin Ridley for the next couple of years here in Jacksonville. Like, I don't hate the concept of that, although everybody looked at the whole Ridley thing as like, it's Ridley or bust. I don't necessarily agree with it. Am I crazy?
I mean, first of all, the whole Zay Jones thing, like, I don't think Zay Jones is going to be here, man. I don't.
Well, he might not. I think right now it looks like he could have saved himself here, though, right? I mean, what are you doing?
Okay, but then are you confident right now with where it sits to have Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, and then Gabe Davis be your starting 3 wide receivers?
Well, I am. Yeah, I do have a level of confidence in that group. I mean, 2 years ago, they scored more points. They had a better offense. Obviously, they were healthier. I think this goes back to maybe Doug calls the plays instead, and then I feel really good about that. But, yeah, I'm okay with that trio of receivers. Like, that's not a bad trio of receivers. Do I think you can be better? Do I think Calvin would have been better in that mix? Yeah. Do I think a young guy could be better? Probably. But I don't hate that trio of receivers, man. That's not a bad group of players.
Okay, I mean, in my opinion, I think Zay Jones and Gabe Davis are essentially the same player. So if we're talking about, okay, then do you move Christian Kirk? Is he your one receiver then? Is he playing the X? Like, what's the plan going to be? So I don't like Gabe Davis, Zay Jones, and Christian Kirk as your starting 3 wide receivers. I get they were more successful without Calvin Ridley than they were with Calvin Ridley. If you want to have that narrative, that's fine. But I don't think those 3 receivers right now are going to make a playoff push. I really don't. So then, yeah, it begs the question. Do you get Thomas in the draft? What happens if he's not there? What's going to be the backup plan? Are you going to trade up? Or what are you going to do? So, yeah, theoretically, can you replace Calvin Ridley with a young talent? Absolutely. And I don't think, the Jaguars would bat an eye at that. But things still have to shake out in the draft to be able to do that. Because the last thing I want to happen is, okay, all of a sudden there's a big string of wide receivers getting taken early on. The Jaguars miss out, and then it's like, okay, I guess we'll take a guy in the second round. It's all good. Let's go ahead and have Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, and then, Gabe Davis out there. I don't think that's going to help Trevor Lawrence. I really don't.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. Listen, I don't mind that way of thinking. I get it. I do think there's another piece of this where the Jags then better be able to find a solution here. Like, what's the next solution? That's got to be part of it. There's no way, Austin, that they went into this thing when they got Gabe Davis, when they know they have Zay Jones and Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram and the such, that they 100% knew they were going to get Calvin Ridley. They had to have some other plans in mind, whether that is the draft, whether that is to make an aggressive play for now a T. Higgins, an unhappy T. Higgins or somebody. I'm not predicting that's what's going to happen. In fact, I don't think that's going to happen. Mike Williams is now out there. Can you Band-Aid it up and sign Mike Williams to a deal? And I know he's been hurt, and maybe he's different, but he's a different kind of receiver than you have on the field right now in your receiving room. Like, there are other options out here, and I really find it hard that at number 17, all the good receivers are off the board. I just find that hard to fathom. I think there are too many good ones. I think you've got to find the right guy. You've got to make the right pick, and I get the angst about that too. I also think this goes back, Austin, to really what the Jags showed me here is that they want to be aggressive to get Trevor Lawrence help. They kept this all in play with Ridley where they could have let it walk days ago. They went and got Gabe Davis anyway, even though they wanted Ridley back. That shows me that they want to be aggressive in their pass catchers. Could that mean they are aggressive still in a potential trade? Aggressive still in a move for a Mike Williams? Aggressive still not only in the draft at 17, but maybe even trade up for one of these guys, which we've suggested over the last couple of months in a kind of fun scenario to go get a Marvin Harrison or a Dunze or somebody like that. I have a feeling, man, the Jaguars are going to be aggressive here at receiver because they kind of showed their hand a little bit that they think it's valuable to help Trevor out here this offseason heading into year 4.
I mean, if that's the case, then go be aggressive and go get T. Higgins. Or then go be aggressive and at least try to field conversation with Justin Jefferson. Like, once again, Mike Williams, I get it, a respected receiver. I don't think he's a one either. Like, he's a burner, and I get that, but when you play in an offense with Keenan Allen, and Keenan Allen can take away all that short stuff, yeah, you better be a pretty decent receiver and get open with those long balls. So I think Mike Williams gives you a lot more.
But don't they have that in Kirk? Don't they have that in Kirk? Like, Mike Williams will be helped by a guy like Kirk.
You don't think Mike Williams is Gabe Davis?
I don't feel like he is. I don't
Go
know. I feel
routes,
like
Mike
he is.
Williams?
I don't feel like Mike Williams' game.
Okay, I think that Mike Williams can really only run 2 routes. And that's a go route, and sometimes he'll run a post or a corner, and that's about it. Like, he's the deep ball threat. I don't consider Mike Williams a one receiver.
Listen, I'll say this. Mike Williams is not let's not get stuck on Mike Williams. Mike Williams is not my game plan necessarily. I just was throwing his name out there because he's at least an available option. My plan is to go get a guy early in the draft. But I don't mind your plan of going to get T. Higgins or somebody like that. Like, I just think overall what they showed is that they are going to be aggressive. And one more thing on Mike Williams. There's 2 reasons why I don't love the Mike Williams part. It's one, because he is older. I want the younger player coming in here and kind of going for the next 3 or 4 or 5 years with a developing and richer Trevor Lawrence contract. So Mike Williams probably doesn't make too much sense here. Somebody throwing out Mike Thomas. Like, these are kind of same guys. You don't know. Those are a little bit of a gamble. They are available. Again, I like the younger player. But I just think the Jags showed their hand a little bit here in saying we want to be aggressive to help Trevor out at the receiver position. I just don't see them standing pat here on Kirk, Zay Jones, Gabe Davis going into this season.
No, without a doubt, there's absolutely no way. Because once again, I don't think that Gabe Davis. I think there's similarities between Gabe Davis and Zay Jones. And once again, you don't have a true number one receiver quite yet. And yes, you have to help out Trevor Lawrence. So I agree. I think they're going to be aggressive. I think they're going to hope that a great receiver is going to be there at number 17. If not, they could trade up and make a play. Maybe they field calls with T. Higgins. We'll see. But I agree with you. I think this is still about helping out Trevor Lawrence and listening to what he says, because keep in mind, when it's time for Trevor Lawrence to get paid, and it's a Trevor Lawrence contract year, all these things, the Calvin Ridley stuff, how this draft pans out, whether you get a number one receiver, that will all be brought back with receipts when it's time to go to the negotiating table with Trent Baalke and Company and Trevor Lawrence's people.
Austin, can I ask you one clarification?
Clarify.
So if going into this next season, it's our weapons room looks like Kirk, Gabe Davis, Zay Jones, obviously Evan Ingram, can't forget about him, and
Sure.
Brian Thomas at 17.
Yep.
Your opinion, obviously that we lost Ridley, but with those five guys, if we took Brian Thomas at 17, where would you stack our weapons? Would you be feeling good about it that we helped Trevor out enough, or you're still saying because we lost Ridley, it was a loss?
No, I mean, once again, my question to you would be who's going to be the one receiver?
And to that, I would say I'm a believer that Kirk can be a one. I can fully understand that a lot of people don't believe that, and I'm not going to fight anybody on that. I think he can be a one, but then that's Austin, your preference is that you have to have a number one receiver, whereas I think some people, including myself, are as long as you have, a B plus and 3 B minuses, you can get the job done, and that the importance of having the number one isn't necessarily mandatory.
Listen, if you have Patrick Mahomes back there, I'll take 3 C plus receivers, and you can still win a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
All right. We have a guy who, in my opinion, I'm not sure if he's going to be a lead or not yet.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're talking about giving him all the tools to succeed and finding out for ourselves, is this the guy or not, I want to have a one receiver for him. Yeah. Yes, Christian Kirk could be that guy from the slot. I get it's a little more risky. Cooper Kupp was the guy from the slot a couple years ago. So I'm not opposed to that. But once again, I'm not ready to call Christian Kirk a number one receiver yet. He's a great receiver, and he's probably Trevor Lawrence's go-to guy right now. But also, I want a big-bodied receiver who can go up, get 50-50 balls, who can go up and be a red zone threat. And right now, the Jaguars showed that they don't have that.
Austin, but here's what we're doing. If we're so hung up on the number one wide receiver, why did everybody want Calvin Ridley back? Why? He's not that. He's not the big body wide receiver. He wasn't the number one wide receiver. We didn't even know if he was a 1 or 2. The Jags think he's more like a 2, very good 2 receiver. He's not the one. Why are we so wrapped up in it? There's the overreaction then. If Calvin Ridley was going to save the day, he wasn't going to be that guy either.
He put up number one receiving yards in Atlanta. We saw him be number one receiver. We've seen it with our own eyes. The stats say so.
With Julio Jones.
Look at Calvin Ridley's numbers in Atlanta and tell me he wasn't one receiver. Here, I can pull him up real quick.
Okay, but he's not the definition, what you're looking for, what you're saying. Big body guy, go do it all, everything. He is not that guy. He can't do it all. He's not a physical player like that. So
Neither is Cooper Kupp, but he gets the job done. Neither is Tyreek Hill. He gets the job done. They're all one receivers. What do one receivers have in common? When it's when it's go time, they can get you over 1,500 yards. They can get you over 10 touchdowns. That's a one receiver to me. So if you're talking about Calvin Ridley,
okay, well that guy didn't do it this year in Jacksonville.
And what did Trevor Lawrence say about it? He's coming off of 2 years of rust. I would love to see it again. I would love to see 1,300 yards and 9 touchdowns like he had in Atlanta. I think he can do that. I would love to see 10 touchdowns like he had his rookie year in Atlanta. I think he can do it again.
I don't want to turn this and all of a sudden be like negative Calvin guy. I'm not that, okay? And I would believe that he could do that too. I just think you're a little hitting and hoping here. It's blind faith, which is no different than drafting a guy at like number 17 or 48. You're hoping that guy can become that. So, Christian Kirk was on his way to a hell of a year this year if he didn't miss the last 6 games. Better than the previous year. And I'm not claiming him to be like the number one everybody's talking about. So I think I think it's a little bit of a battle right now. Are we talking about just number one type numbers? Are we talking about number one style of body receiver that you need to fit and complement what they already have in this offense? And that's where I just think a little bit of the overreaction comes in on Calvin Ridley. Listen, this team gave him many chances in this past year to be that guy and make the big play when they needed him to. And quite honestly, there were several times where he failed on that part to do so. Was that because of rust? Was he ever going to get back to the guy he was in Atlanta? We don't know. There's a little bit of blind faith in all that. I was willing to take that jump or that leap of faith. Looked like the Jags were too, but I just don't think it's irreplaceable.
Okay, well, what I know from blind faith or stats, whatever you want to call it, I know that Calvin Ridley, out of Christian Kirk, out of Zay Jones, and out of Gabe Davis, has had a better season than any of those guys. And once again, we're talking about a guy who's had 2 years of rust. So you can call it blind faith. To me, blind faith is the unknown. I've seen it from Calvin Ridley before. So, yeah, is he undersized to be a 1? To me, a 1 is a guy who is your go-to guy when the game's on the line, can get the job done. Whether you're Tyreek Hill, whether you're Cooper Kupp, whether you're Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, to me, Travis Kelce is their one receiver. Like, with all due respect to Rashee Rice, who shows promise, it can look like different things. I don't care like the body type. I just care of that go-to guy when the game's on the line. And I think Calvin Ridley can be that guy.
Yeah, and he might be. He's going to have a chance to prove it in Tennessee, obviously with Burks too. Again, I do not want this to flip around. I'm not going to talk out of both sides of my mouth here. I was a Calvin Ridley fan. I was fine with them coming back. I would have been excited like the rest of you guys if he had come back. I think it would have plugged a hole and everything else. I still can't. I'm not getting to the point, though, where I'm just so bent about this that I think there's a little bit of overreaction on the Ridley stuff because we don't fully know. What Austin's talking about is fine. He's done it, but that was 3 years ago now. It's been a long time. The further you get away from that stuff, the harder it is to go find that. So I do not mind them getting younger at wide receiver, growing the next guy, and finding out if he can become a number one for years to come. Now, the question is, will the Jaguars have the guts to do that? Will they do that in round one? Will they find that guy? Will they be aggressive, trade up to get that guy? Or will they trade in the offseason to go get a guy like T. Higgins? And by the way, we'll have the same conversation if they drafted T. Higgins. We have no idea if that guy can actually be a true number one. The questions will come because he did it with Jamar Chase. So there's unknown all over the place. I understand that. I just think there's a shade of overreaction on the Calvin front. I think the reality is if they stand pat with what they've got, the losing of Ridley was a big loss because they could have been better in that room if they had gotten him. If they make another move, well, then I think I'll be just as intrigued as if they had signed Calvin Ridley. Man, we're just getting warmed up. It's almost a half hour in. Let's stay on the Calvin Ridley topic because there are a lot of domino effects, including what happens in the AFC South. Like, how much better does he make a guy like a team like Tennessee, a guy like Will Levis? Tennessee is really like a non-factor in the conversations right now in the AFC South. Did they just become a major factor in the AFC South? We'll take a break. We're live at TPC Sawgrass at the Players Championship. Round one underway. We'll give you an update on the scoring, which is off to a terrific start on just a beautiful morning on a Thursday at the Players. I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we're a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnicht Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnicht family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 2.9% right now for eligible buyers on Terrains and Acadias too. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnicht Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at nimnichtbuickgmc.com. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
The friendliest golf course in town, the Golf Club at Southampton. Local golfers have no shortage of options when it comes to picking a course to play here in Northeast Florida year-round. Yet time and time again, I find myself here at the Golf Club at Southampton. Easy to get to off 210 in St. Johns County. It's family-owned and operated and renowned for being one of the area's most player-friendly. That's just one of the reasons we hold the Action Sports Jax Dream 18 charity golf tournament here each fall. The Mark McCumber design layout is great for all skill levels of golfers, from the guys who bomb it a mile on the range to golfers like me who are just happy to put it in the fairway, which Southampton has very accommodating fairways. And if you need new clubs, come down to the pro shop. They'll fit you up and get you a nice new set like they did for me. For more information on membership or to book a tee time and see for yourself, head over to golfsouthampton.com or call the clubhouse at 904-287-7529. The Golf Club at Southampton. It's the official home of the Action Sports Jax Dream 18. Make it your home for golf too.
It's a new logo, new branding, but with Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. And with that comes the perks we miss in the big business world. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who is coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com. The folks at Bold City Heating and Air also know your AC unit is important and can be a big expense. That's why they have financing to help. No payments, no interest for 12 months on new systems. $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown. Bold City Heating and Air.
Thank you for making Action News Jax the best in Jax and Folio's Best of Jax 2023. Best TV station, Best TV newscast, Best TV morning show. Chandler Morgan voted Best TV anchor. The Chief, Mike Burrish, voted Best meteorologist. And Brent Martineau voted Best TV sports anchor. And while you're on the go, Best news website and Best local blog, The Burrish Blog. Thank you for making Action News Jax local coverage you can count on.
Stop by the new car sales event happening right now at Greenway Kia at the Avenues. $500 in a job gets you in a Kia. And Michael Montiero and the staff here at Greenway Kia are here to make it happen. Experience great customer service and become a part of their family. And while you're here, check out the Kia Forte GT line, full of comfort, innovation, and has driver assist technology. And how about the affordable new Kia EV9, the fast-charging, all-new electrical SUV with high-performance capability. 3-row seats with 304 miles of maximum driving range. Over 1,000 new Kia models, some starting at $199 a month. And as always, get the 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Come shop at Greenway Kia at the Avenues, located on Phillips Highway. You can shop online at greenwaykiaattheavenues.com. And remember, $500 and a job gets you in a Kia at Greenway Kia at the Avenues.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jax, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jax is always on. Now, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jax 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jax 24/7.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Welcome back to Action Sports Jax at the Players Championship, the Brent and Austin Show. And that right there is Miles Russell. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about this kid. He's 15 years old. He's from Jacksonville Beach. And it's a name you should know in the golf world. You will know his name for years to come. He just won Player of the Year honors last year, Junior Player of the Year honors, the youngest to ever do it, breaking Tiger Woods' 32-year-old mark. He won the Junior Players last fall. He's going to play in a Korn Ferry event. You got an exception to that. He might be playing in a PGA Tour event later this year. I mean, the kid's in high school. He's 15 years old. He can't even drive yet. And he is legitimately one of the best golfers in the United States and maybe at that age in the world. true talent from the left-handed side, by the way. And Austin, really cool story with this kid, because in our business, especially I've been here 16 years now, the fun part is you get to watch some of these kids grow up. Right? When he was 3 years old, and we didn't know this at the time, okay? So we were at a clinic, and we did this last night, and we might even share the story a little bit later here in this show. But when he was 3 years old, we have a shot of him hitting it out of the bunker at some clinic that we were covering. And you really can't see it, but the bunker shot goes in the hole. So he holes out from the bunker at 3 years old, this little dude.
Dang.
I mean, he's like 2 feet tall, right?
Yeah,
and so that was one thing. Well, years later, like when he's 8 or 9, he makes it to the drive, chip, and putt national competition at Augusta National. The Masters does that every year now. It's a new thing they had started, and he makes it and qualifies. He would end up qualifying a couple times, but I played him for a Snickers bar that time. We did a story on him and the drive, chip, and putt. He beat me, of course, for the Snickers. But when we were doing that video, we kind of put his name in our archive system, and we found that shot from when he was 3 years old. So we have him at like 3, 8,
Yeah, we got the
10,
video.
15. I mean, you have the video of the 3-year-old shot, Hamby? Let's take a look at it if you got it.
We can show it later because it's going to have your story over
Oh, we can show it. Okay, Hamby. Yeah, okay, yeah, we'll have it in the story. I thought you meant you had it right now. But the bottom line is, it's really cool, like, to follow a guy this young. He's very a mild-mannered kid and a little guy that can absolutely play this game of golf, and really, he's really good. And again, I know we talk about recruiting in college football, and we know this is a big sports area for, heck, we got the Bob Hayes Invitational coming up right later this weekend in Jacksonville, coming up tomorrow and Saturday, actually, at UNF. So we know this place has pumped out a lot of talent. We know it's a big golf area. But I've heard there are actually 4 kids in town that are like the top 16 junior players in the 25 and 26 class. 4 out of the top 16 in the United States. I mean, that's how good it is. So keep an eye on the name Miles Russell. He got to follow Scotty Scheffler around yesterday and talk to him. They're both tailor-made guys now. So these guys even already have early sponsorship, man. There's already tailor-mades all over them at 15
Are
years
they committed
old.
anywhere?
Brent Martineau Austen Lane. Well, he has not committed. I think it's too early to do that. I think he would like to play college golf. It's not a guarantee that he will. He's going to have the opportunity to maybe bypass that, although a lot of guys now play college golf. College golf's a fun deal to play, too, and eventually you get on tour, and they've got the program, the PGA Tour University. Nick Gabrowczyk is in that right now. He's like one of the top guys. He plays at the University of North Florida. So there's different paths, but it's a lot like college baseball now. College baseball is a lot of fun to play, so I think a lot of guys try to go to college, and for a couple of years at least, then maybe make it to the MLB draft. I think golf is a lot of like that. Like, why rush into the pro ranks when you can go have some fun, play at a high-level golf program, and then eventually get out there and play anyway? So I think he'll end up playing in college. I don't know that for sure, but keep an eye on the name Miles Russell, seriously. Another lefty. We like the sweet swinging lefty, but a nice kid, nice family, and he is a terrific young player. Brent and Austin Show, back at TPC Sawgrass, live at the Players Championship. And I do want to give you a score update. Let me do that here at the Players. Rory McIlroy, 5 under par, 5 out of the first 7 holes he's birdied. Van Rooyen at 4 under, Moore at 3 under, Taylor at 3 under, and then there's another Moore at 3 under. So we've got some good scoring here in the early going with Rory McIlroy, the 2019 champ, in the lead here at the Players Championship. All right, I don't want to let the Calvin Ridley story go. I had to take a breath, though, Austin. That was kind of intense in the first 25 minutes to start the show off.
Intense for who?
But
You'll be all right.
It was intense for me.
Okay.
I mean, listen, I don't get in a cage. I didn't have a workout in already this morning. I mean,
yeah,
I'm
man, this
covering
is like
golf
my
here
cool
for a
down
living.
right now. Like, talking in Calvin Ridley is a cool down for me. So, like, I'll do this all day. We're all good.
Well, listen, I'll do it all day, too, but it sure as hell wasn't a cool down in the first 20 minutes. I was getting pretty ramped up for 10 in the morning.
Okay.
The Calvin Ridley stuff does spark emotion. And I don't know if that emotion's going anywhere until the next phase of this does happen. I want to talk about the Tennessee side of things. Did they go too crazy here? I know you're a former player, so and I'm not like, I think there are a lot of people like, why the heck they pay him that much money? He never should have got that much money. It's like, you know what? If you get that kind of money, get that kind of money. Like, I'm not going to hold it against him. I think people got mad when I said good for Calvin. That is way bigger of a payday than any of us would have imagined. We were penciling Calvin Ridley in at $16, $17, $18 million a year when this thing started a couple months ago, when the offseason hit. And all of a sudden, he got up to $23 million a year with $50 million guaranteed. He got more money guaranteed than Mike Evans got guaranteed. I mean, what a deal, Austin, for Calvin Ridley and his team. But were the Tennessee Titans a little crazy? Did they go too far?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I don't really get all the Calvin Ridley hate in terms of him going to Tennessee and essentially, quote-unquote, being a traitor and not going back to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, I've said this many times. Calvin Ridley, the Jaguars gave him an opportunity, right? He was out of the game for a little bit. They invested a third-round pick on him. But, he doesn't really owe the city anything. He was here on a rental. And the guy just got paid. So, anytime a dude gets paid, whether it's here or another spot, I'll celebrate it, man. Congratulations. It was your first time being a free agent. You got paid top dollar. Enjoy it, man. Spend it wisely, and best of luck to you. Now, when you play the Jacksonville Jaguars, I will not be cheering for you, obviously. I'll be cheering for the Jaguars, but, I have no ill will towards Calvin Ridley. And look at it from his side. I always say this. It's not about how much money you make. It's about what the money says. Well, the money says from Tennessee that they want him extremely badly, right? And sometimes as an NFL player, it feels good to be wanted. So you went to where you felt wanted. Okay, not going to fault you for that. Now, Tennessee, did they overspend for him? Yeah, I think any, NFL expert, anybody, with a couple cents is going to say, yeah, you paid a lot of money for Calvin Ridley when you probably didn't have to pay that much, but they have a quarterback in themselves, and Will Levis, who obviously needs some tools around him. It was Tennessee's goal, they said, to get the top receiver in free agency. Now, one could argue that's T. Higgins or that was Mike Evans, but guess what? We're not sure if they're going to be really going anywhere quite yet. So what did they do? They swung on the best wide receiver in free agency. They said what they were going to do. All right? So did Tennessee overpay? I think so. But do I give them a little credit for sticking to their guns, helping out a young quarterback, and saying what they were going to do and follow through with that? Yeah, I do give them a little credit for that.
Yeah, listen, I do say this, and somebody said this to me on Twitter, and I really didn't have a great response, I'll be honest. They were like, well, does it matter if it's another $4 million? Like, what are the Jaguars going to do with that $4 million? And I actually echoed what you just said, because you taught me this years ago when we were doing the show. It's what the money says, right? I mean, that's even from the Jags' point of view, Austin. Like, you can't just give Calvin Ridley an extra $4 million just because you could make it work if you don't think he's really worth that. That sets you up poorly for your organization, I think, in your locker room when you're about to pay other guys too, if you're not just throwing extra money at guys. So I think it works both ways, what the money says. And I don't know what the Jags are going to get these days for an extra $4 million, but it might help them in the negotiation for maybe it's Josh Allen or somebody else down the road. Or what I said is it could make a little bit of pot of money available for a potential trade during the deadline in the course of the year if you keep some of those funds available. So there's a lot of different ways to look at that. Again, I want to be clear here. I don't fault the Calvin Ridley, go get money you want. I really don't fault the Titans. I just am interested in the amount of money that he got, because Christian Kirk getting $17 million a year, the Jags were like, what are the Jacksonville Jaguars doing giving him all that money? I don't see as much of that on the Calvin Ridley front, Austin. And this might have been more of a crazy deal than the Kirk deal was at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I do see people saying that's a lot of money. I don't know. I don't necessarily have the best pulse in terms of Jaguars Twitter. I'm not always on there. But I have a feeling that a lot of people felt like the Titans overpaid, and maybe some people were saying, well, why didn't you just give them the extra money? I mean, you can make a case for both sides. I mean, is the extra, $3-4 million a year, do you pay that just to put Trevor Lawrence at ease? Maybe. Maybe you can make an argument for that. But it's like we've talked about. You have another hole that's open now, right? So that has to be addressed in the NFL draft, or if you want to somehow try to work a deal with T. Higgins, by all means, I'm not going to stop you. But to me, there's another hole now that needs to be filled, right? Because once again, I'm not confident with Zay Jones, Gabe Davis, and Christian Kirk. I think there needs to be an upgrade there. So the way I see it right now, there is a hole that needs to be filled. So we talk about teams trying to fill the holes, and I think wide receiver right now is one of those holes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the Jags could try to get in the sweepstakes or a play for Higgins. I think just Higgins, a quick note, because there's so much unknown. Obviously, it would be appetizing. People would love it if you're that aggressive. I don't know what it would cost to get him. The thing about the T. Higgins stuff, Austin, for me, and I don't know how you feel about it, is Monday morning it came out. His agent probably, right, his team put it out there that he wants to trade. He doesn't like how it's going in Cincinnati. They're not going to pay him an extended deal. They're going to use the power they have of the franchise tag, it looks like. So they put that out there, but it really didn't do anything in the marketplace, right? I mean, there wasn't a lot of buzz. Now, it might have made a lot of phone calls, but we don't know what it actually did to really turn up some interest for T. Higgins and other teams that could make a potential trade. Where do you think that sits now, 3 days later? Higgins, I think, came out again yesterday, or his camp did, said he's done with the Bengals. I saw a report there. How true that stuff is it smoke? I mean, how do you feel about the likelihood right now of Cincinnati playing ball with T. Higgins with a team, and would the Jags be that team, even though we have no idea what the compensation could look like?
Well, I think it's going to have to happen from Cincinnati because we all know how this is going to end in Cincinnati. They're not going to pay T. Higgins. Like, they're not going to pay T. Higgins what he wants. So there's no resolution. There's no gray area. There's no common ground. They're going to pay Jamar Chase. And T. Higgins is going to be upset about that because he feels like he's a number one receiver, and Jamar Chase will get that money. So if I'm Cincinnati, I look at it like this. Do I put T. Higgins all in? Do I call his bluff and keep him on the franchise tag? Don't trade him and see if he plays? You could do that, and you could risk that, but then what's the other side of that? You could lose the locker room in the process, right? Like, I'm not sure what kind of locker room guy T. Higgins is. I'm not sure how respected he is, but I guarantee if you don't give T. Higgins what he wants, there will be some sort of drama because he's stated for a while now that he wants to be paid. And we've seen what happens when players want to get paid in terms, especially, those diva positions sometimes of what transpires. So I think it's in Cincinnati's best interest to entertain trades right now because worst comes to worst, okay, you keep T. Higgins this year, free agent deal, then what happens? Are you going to take him again next year, or are you going to let him go for nothing? Like, if you want value for T. Higgins, if you want to get some kind of capital for T. Higgins, now is the time to do it from Cincinnati.
Yeah, well, they're going to have to do that in the face of a huge deal for Jamar Chase as well. And so what does Joe Burrow feel about it? There's a lot of things going on right there. There's a lot of dynamic. We would be saying the same thing in Jacksonville. How does Trevor feel about it? What does it look like? So the perception of it could get interesting. All right, we got to take a break. We're a little bit late on the break. So when we come back, Hamby looked at some of the AFC South teams, and I want to specifically look at the Titans just because we've been talking Calvin Ridley in this deal. Like, how much better are the Titans than you think they were last year? They obviously have a whole new coaching staff, so that changes things. But what about the rest of their roster, and what did they do other than Calvin Ridley? We'll take a look at the rest of the AFC South and how the Jaguars stack up as well. The Miller Electric Center, man, it's been busy. And today at 1:30, by the way, the Jaguars will introduce their free agents. Mac Jones potentially could be there, but he still has to clear a physical to make that trade official. But the hope is he will be there today at 1:30 as well with the other four free agents that the Jaguars signed. Mitch Morse was introduced yesterday and met with the media. We'll be back on the Brent and Austin Show. Alive Credit Union cares about our community. After all, it was founded by people in our community 70 years ago by a group of Florida Blue employees. And the mission still is to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. In here, they are more than just a bank. You can find Alive in the community providing financial education to our youth, sharing programs that are geared toward building credit and rebuilding credit, and supporting causes with amazing organizations like the American Lung Association. This March, Alive Credit Union will be back for the 6th time as a longtime sponsor of the American Lung Association's Fight for Air Climb. The event is March 23rd downtown. Get your team of climbers, family, friends, co-workers. The event will be emceed by Action News Jax's Garrett Biedenbaugh. Be a part of our community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
Navigating to that perfect car can be a daunting task. Trust me, I understand, but if you want to find the perfect blend of sales and service for your automotive needs, look no further than the Tom Bush family of dealerships.
Here at Tom Bush, they do things right. Dating back to 1970, they've been a staple in the community, giving back and keeping everything local. With 4 different brands to choose from, BMW, Mazda, Volkswagen, and Mini, there's a car for every member of the family, and the customer service is second to none. Looking to add an electric vehicle to your fleet? Tom Bush remains at the forefront of new technology with plenty of staff on hand to walk you through the future of driving and help eligible customers file for that EV tax credit.
Whether you're looking for your future driver's first car or you want to step up to luxury and arrive in style, the Tom Bush family of dealership is the only stop that you need to make.
Stop by the showroom or check out the inventory at tombush.com.
Go where all the pros go. Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute takes care of athletes at the highest level, like the Jacksonville Jaguars players. They will take care of you, too. Our team covers a lot of teams here in Jacksonville: FSCJ, JU, the Axemen, the Jumbo Shrimp, the Sharks, and, of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars. JOI covers all those teams as well. And then there's youth sports. My kids play baseball and softball. And whenever we have an injury question, the first call is to JOI. Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute has been serving Jacksonville for 30 years. And they have over 30 specially trained physicians and assistants at 5 locations in the area. If your injury is specific to an area of the body, JOI has a specialist. They also are leaders in robotic surgery, joint replacement, and sports medicine. JOI Rehab has 13 locations and 90 therapists to get you better. Comprehensive care with caring physicians and staff at JOI. From youth sports to high school, college, and the pros, Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. JOI. Go where all the pros go.
Get outside.
Yeah.
Make friends. Learn life lessons with the First Tee.
Golf is kind of like life in a way.
You can take some stuff you learn on the course and take that and use it in every single day life.
Donate to First Tee's Play Day campaign and everybody wins.
For every $10 you've donated, you're entered to win a free round with a buddy
at the stadium course, home of the players, with this guy, Len Matisse. Scan the code on your screen or visit actionnewsjax.com to learn more.
I'm Action News Jax First Alert meteorologist Garrett Beaton. Well, the sun is up and it's going to be a beautiful day.
Sometimes you just need a day to yourself. And Garrett's First Alert forecast makes sure you're ready to go out and enjoy. Garrett and the Action News Jax This Morning team, helping you start your morning right.
Discover how good your water can be with a new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's twin tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We know that at our home. You can find out as well. Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? Well, CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions to improve it. The higher your water score, the better your water. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242, cgcwater.com. Financing options are available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Look at TPC Sawgrass, and it's fun to catch up with some people stopping by our tent here. We are right off the 9th green, by the way. If you are coming by, we'll be here today and tomorrow. Action Sports Jax and Action News Jax crew set up kind of near the Bubba Burger tent as well. So right outside that 9th green, in between the 9th and the practice range, not very close to each other, but kind of in between there. If you want to stop by and say hello, and then we'll be walking the course and live on TV later in the day, noon, 5, 6, and then our Action Sports Jax at the Players Specials on CBS 47 and Fox 30 at 11:15 each and every night. Then Action Sports Jax primetime, 10:30 on Fox 30, 11:30 on CBS 47, Saturday and Sunday. All right, this will be a quick segment, guys, but Hamby has put together a little what else did the AFC South do to get better in free agency. I think Houston and Indianapolis are going to be the focus, but since we've been talking about Calvin Ridley and the Titans, Austin, let's see what Jason has to say about what else those guys did. I want to get your thoughts with a new coaching staff, with Will Levis, your committed quarterback, with Derrick Henry gone. What do the Tennessee Titans look like in 2024? And by the way, it doesn't really matter what they look like because it looked like they sucked last year and the Jags still blew it against them in the season finale.
Yeah, so we got with the Titans, they signed Mason Rudolph as their backup quarterback. Tony Pollard is their new running back. Obviously, Calvin Ridley. They bring back Nick Westbrook-Akine. They sign a new center, Lloyd Cushenberry. On the defensive end, they get Kenneth Murray on a 2-year deal, Chidobe Awuzie as a corner on a 3-year deal. They get kicker Nick Folk and then a long snapper. So you're really looking at, as impact starters, Pollard, Ridley, Cushenberry, Murray, Awuzie.
Austin, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think they definitely upgraded. You know, this was a team that I think, like the Jaguars, had some holes. I think Cushenberry, I'm not sure exactly how much he got paid in that contract. I assume it's a lot more than Mitch Morse, right?
4 for $50.
450. So
about 12 and a half a year.
Okay, so comparable. Well, I know Cushenberry was kind of highly touted as a free agent at the center position. Tony Pollard, you know, they had to replace Derrick Henry. He's a little more dynamic. Coming off that injury a couple years ago, didn't really have the stellar, you know, year that the Dallas Cowboys thought he was going to have. Can he turn that around? It's a question mark in my opinion. Kenneth Murray is a great player. And obviously with Calvin Ridley, you got your quarterback. We'll see if he's going to be a number one receiver, but they think so. So I think overall, I think Tennessee upgraded. You know, I mean, I don't like to admit it. I don't like giving them all their props and everything, but I think you got to like what they see from them.
Well, it's really interesting if you look at Tennessee and the Jaguars. And by the way, just to follow up on the Cushenberry contract, Morse is actually a very modest deal compared to that. It's more like 2 years, $10 million. So I think 5 months. So a totally different deal for Cushenberry versus Morse at the center position. But I think if you look at the Titans and the Jags alone, to me, my attention goes to the coaching. They have a new coaching staff in Tennessee. That could be a very good thing. But did they really upgrade from Mike Vrabel? I mean, Mike Vrabel, a lot of people believe, is a very good football coach. So it's hard for me to go there and get too excited if I'm a Tennessee fan that we upgraded at the coaching position. We started a new era maybe, but we sure as heck don't know if we upgraded, especially with a first-time head coach in Callahan. Meanwhile, in Jacksonville, I think they did reset on defense, number one, which was an eyesore against Tennessee in that season finale. But also, Austin, the other part of this is maybe the million-dollar question and the biggest thing that could happen this offseason is Doug taking over play calling again. And I know we've harped on it so many times, we don't need to revisit it, but it still might be the biggest domino that could potentially fall for the Jacksonville Jaguars in this 2024 offseason.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be the biggest one with that. It's going to be Josh Allen, too, this offseason. But, yeah, I hope, and I don't know if they're going to announce this, if they keep, you know, if they're going to play it close here in terms of week one, we're going to announce that Doug Peterson's calling plays. I hope it's something that's kind of out there in the airwaves so everyone knows what's going on because, once again, people got to be on the same page here. And I want to go into a training camp knowing, hey, Doug Peterson's calling the plays or Press Taylor's calling the plays, but there should be some sort of plan, some sort of goal in mind by the start of training camp.
Hey, Hamby, I can hear Stuart, by the way. I'm not sure if everybody else can as well. Just keep that in mind. I think as we're getting Stuart ready to go from the Players' Championship. In fact, we're going to take a break just in a moment. Austin, I do think that story, I think you bring up a good point. I don't know if we will know about the play calling until during the year or not. But I could keep it in my back pocket if I'm the Jags from an optic point of view and say, hey, when everybody's feeling down or mad or bad, let's just throw this one out there. Then I'm going to take the play calling duties over again.
Yeah, man. I mean,
if PR move for the Jags.
No, for real. I mean, honestly, if this Josh Allen contract talk is going longer and longer, and all of a sudden it comes out, Josh Allen may not be happy with contract negotiations. Josh Allen may be sitting out summer training camp. What's this? Doug Peterson's calling the plays. Who's Josh Allen? He plays for the Bills. Never heard of him. What's up, Doug? Calling plays. Let's go, man.
It'll be wild to see when they throw that out. I don't know if they really care that much about making us feel better or not, but that could be fascinating. All right, Hamby, let's take a break. We got another break to get to. When we come back, we will try to get Stuart Weber. He's here at TPC Sawgrass, just arriving. We'll get an update on the leaderboard as well, so we'll talk a little bit of golf, but a lot about football too. I want to visit the rest of the AFC South. Well, now that we feel like at least this first wave is done, we could certainly see more moves. I think people forget about that. Like, it's not over. You can still make moves in the NFL, but I think more of the big moves mostly are made right now. I think the next thing, like the T. Higgins potentially, that could come around draft time when you get a little more leverage to play with for each organization. So I think we'll go a little quiet now on this end from the Jags' point of view and maybe the rest of the NFL. So what does the AFC South look like, specifically the Houston Texans and even the Indianapolis Colts? Look at TPC Sawgrass, where the scoring is certainly very good right now. And Rory McIlroy is in the lead, 6 under par. He's playing the back nine first, but what a start for the 2019 champ. In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jags team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580. It's a new logo, new branding, but with Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. And with that comes the perks we miss in the big business world. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at BoldCityAC.com. The folks at Bold City Heating and Air also know your AC unit is important and can be a big expense. That's why they have financing to help. No payments, no interest for 12 months on new systems. $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at BoldCityAC.com. Homegrown in your hometown. Bold City Heating and Air.
I've been forecasting the weather for a long time, and no matter where I go, I always get asked the same question.
Hey Mike, what's the weather gonna be like?
Hey Mike.
Hey Mike.
Mike, hey, what's the weather gonna be like?
I don't mind being asked because I always have the answer. Great day for a perfect round of golf. Hey, little rain later today. So go ahead, ask me.
Hey Mike, I'm heading out. What's the weather like tonight?
It's the same question, even at home.
Mike Burrish, he's got your weather answer on Action News Jax.
I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we're a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnick Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnick family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnick Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnick Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 2.9% right now for eligible buyers on Terrains and Acadias too. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnick Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at NimnickBuickGMC.com. Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jacks, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jacks is always on. Now, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jacks 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jacks 24/7.
Alive Credit Union cares about our community. After all, it was founded by people in our community 70 years ago by a group of Florida Blue employees. And the mission still is to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. In here, they are more than just a bank. You can find Alive in the community, providing financial education to our youth, sharing programs that are geared toward building credit and rebuilding credit, and supporting causes with amazing organizations like the American Lung Association. This March, Alive Credit Union will be back for the 6th time as a longtime sponsor of the American Lung Association's Fight for Air Climb. The event is March 23rd downtown. Get your team of climbers, family, friends, co-workers. The event will be emceed by Action News Jax's Garrett Biedenbaugh. Be a part of our community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
TPC Sawgrass, the place to be, the 2024 Players Championship, and it is starting to get more crowded here on a Thursday, but still a wonderful day to attend. A little more low-key than Friday and Saturday. Oh, that traffic will be a little wild tomorrow, so prepare for that for sure. And then Sunday's another day that's pretty moderate day to attend the Players Championship. A lot of people want to watch it on TV, the finish as well, but we got ourselves a beautiful weekend here in Ponte Vedra. Brent Martineau along with Austen Lane, the Brent and Austen Show, and we are talking a lot of football, of course. Calvin Ridley, the big story, the Tennessee Titans, the AFC South. We're going to talk more about the Houston Texans, Indianapolis Colts, and how things shake up with the Jags. Plus, we have so many comments about Ridley that I do want to get to some of those too. But Austin, we're going to talk some golf. It's your favorite part of the show, and we're going to bring in Action Sports Jacks Stuart Weber right now, who is live on the course, I think, around the 18th hole. Oh, he's looking good in those shades. Maybe we do a little Friday fits before we even hear from Weber. Austin, how does he look?
No, he's looking good, man. I'm not mad at rocking the Aviator Maverick shades, man. I mean, all about business today, Stuart. I appreciate you.
Do what we can out here.
You're out with the people, man. It looks like a heck of a crowd building around you.
Yeah, that's because the feature group just walked by. They just finished up on 18. That would be the Hovland, Spieth, and McElroy group. McElroy just gave one back for the first time. He had 6 birdies in his opening 9. He started on the back and then gets a bogey there on 18. But you could tell the crowd is huge for that feature group, that morning feature group that teed off this morning at bright and early, and they're following him around the course right now.
Now,
Stuart, what's your plan today as you just got here? Sorry, Austin, go ahead. Look at Austin, he gets so mad.
Well, no. No. I forgot you could see my reaction. Yeah, man, I'm super passionate. Stuart, obviously, it's pretty early in the morning. You know, the first day, people are pacing themselves, hopefully. But could we see another Waste Management Open, sequel? I mean, are people getting rowdy already? Or are people kind of on their best behavior starting so early? Because it is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, it's Thursday. You won't get those sort of shenanigans out here in round one, Austin. That could happen come Saturday. You know, Saturday you get a little toasty out here. You're out there at the Island Green for a long, extended period of time. But it's a different vibe here than you've got over in Phoenix for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right. I will ask this final question, then we'll let you go. I know we're probably getting a little spotty service out there with all the people. What's your plan for the rest of the day? You going to go continue to follow this lead group who's putting up a big number, or what else you going to do?
Yeah, just kind of getting here, getting settled in. Gonna do a little live hit for Action News Jacks at noon here in less than an hour. We'll do that, and then we'll kind of lay out the game plan, see what guys we need to get some video of. Certainly Rory McIlroy, who's currently leading this thing. We'll go get some shots of him. I'll connect with Marcel and Liv and see what they're up to out here and see what they've done since they've gotten here, and we'll go from there. We'll get a good team plan going. That is the plan.
All That's our Action Sports Jacks meeting live on the Brent and Austen show here to what's to come. All right, Weber, thanks for taking us live out on the course, man. We'll check in with you a little bit later. Brent Martineau, Austen Lane, the Brent and Austen show, and plenty of shopping still to be done for the Action Sports Jacks team as well. Make sure you get beyond the 17th hole and the 16th green there and go to the fan shop and get things before they sell out. It really is a majestic day here at TPC Sawgrass. You can see the blue skies and just very comfortable. I think it's going to heat up pretty good tomorrow, so we'll keep an eye on how hot it gets. But I don't think there's much rain in the forecast, knock on wood. If you want to get out here this weekend, this is the March to be able to do it, Austen Lane.
No, for sure. And first of all, shame on you, Stuart Weber, because Thirsty Thursdays are a thing. So let's give the people of Jacksonville a little more credit than that. We can still get wild on a Thursday. And second of all, Brent, can you get on that PA system and tell them to turn off their Wi-Fi, some of those people out there? Because Stuart was more like a PowerPoint presentation than actual video because he was just kind of in bits. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hey, everyone saw it. Come on.
It's funny. I couldn't tell if it was just my connection here on the computer that was breaking up, or if it was actually Stuart. One of the fun things we're doing here at this show, we're trying out some new technology, and you do need some pretty good service. I really think the amount of people that just showed up, especially around him, kind of knocked some of this off, because I was even having some trouble in the last 15, 20 minutes, and we're kind of locked into a pretty good service part right over here. So I think it just shows you that the crowd's starting to build, and that's just natural. Is this your burner account, by the way, in the chat? Golf Sucks?
Where's that at? Sorry. Oh,
I don't know.
Hang on. What's the name? Christ is the redeeming bread of life. Yeah, man, caught me, because that would be my burner name. Taking him to church on this one
at all.
Yeah, taking him to church on this one, man. Body in the blood, baby.
No way. I mean, listen, tone it down a little bit, man. I mean, golf sucks. I mean, maybe stinks instead, if that's going to be your handle.
Hey, we have passionate fans.
We got a hi mom in the chat as well here. Very good.
Nice.
Well, how did you just defend Duval? Somebody said I knew Austin was going to defend Duval. How did you just do that?
Yeah, man, because it's Thirsty Thursdays. Stuart's trying to say, like, we can't roll with Arizona and have another Waste Management Open sequel.
I'm sorry. Yes, I get it now. I'm
yeah, man. Yeah.
That's Bulky's burner account. How many burner accounts does Bulky have? Did you see the guy that actually was making a lot of? Did you see the guy that was making news in the last few days? Like, he was all over stuff. And I guess the theory on social media, it was actually a guy that was putting out information on a lot of clients from the same agency, is what I think I saw. And they think it was an agent actually leaking a lot of the information.
Really?
And trying to play that side of it on social media. I don't know how true it is, but I was trying to think I'm like, would that be a smart play for an agency to kind of throw stuff out there in social media, be right about a couple of things, have people start to be locked in? And by the way, this guy was pretty correct. He said somebody jumped in last night and it ended up being the Titans. He didn't name who it was, but like, he had the pulse of the Calvin Ridley stuff going pretty much the last couple of days. And there were some other wins the guy had on social media. And then I think somebody showed me that the guy was off it, like last night. So it was done.
I just looked.
It was like a 3-day deal and out of there.
No, he's back on. I saw.
I just looked. Pretty Ricky is his handle, and it looks like it says the page doesn't exist.
I could have swore I saw it this morning. Okay, maybe he's gone.
Maybe it was an old tweet you saw this morning or something.
Yeah, could have been. Okay, well, let me ask you this, because I get this. You know, it could have been the agent and everything. But if that's the case, though, why wouldn't you just tell Adam Schefter to report it? Because I feel like that would garner a lot more fire than a random dude. What was the guy's name on Twitter?
Pretty Ricky?
That would garner a lot more interest than Pretty Ricky on Twitter.
well, I was going to say it's a pretty good burner account then. I mean,
I hear you.
It's like Pretty Ricky 327 or something.
No, listen. And in terms of burner account, maybe it was a burner account. Maybe it was just some guy that got lucky. Maybe it was the guy's son. Who knows? But listen, I know the Jaguars aren't ahead in a lot of things, but you got to give them credit for the future of burner accounts, because Brent Martineau is essentially a walking Trent Baalke burner account. And, we haven't really seen that type of technology yet. So shout out to Jacksonville, shout out to Duval for the walking Trent Baalke burner account, the walking and talking Trent Baalke burner account, because that's futuristic. That's unheard of. And
that is, it's AI at its best right there, man. I mean, there's going to be a hologram of following me around pretty soon out here at the Players Championship.
I got him. I got his page back. Pretty Ricky 213. The first thing in his bio is respected notary.
Wait, so is he actually back, or is he?
The tweet was down, but the page is still up, and he tweeted about an hour ago, Tyler Boyd to the Steelers.
Oh.
Wow, this guy's locked in. So maybe he is the notary on everything that gets done.
Dang, that'd be wild.
And his profile picture is like a Spike the dog in a New York Giants hat.
Okay.
Oh, there you have it.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, it's amazing where some of this stuff comes from, and some of the guys that are right. That one came out of the blue. Brent Martineau, Austen Lane, Jason Hamby here on a Thursday at the Players Championship with Rory McIlroy in the lead. Someone in the chat just asked us, and I think it's a good topic. We touched on it briefly at the top of the show, what the Calvin Ridley stuff does for the draft. But, Austin, what is the biggest need going into the draft now? Where does receiver fit? You would have crossed it off the board most likely. You could have taken someone in the 3rd or 4th round, but definitely not in the early rounds. I continue to think pass rusher is above even cornerback and defensive tackle, but now I do put wide receiver at number 1 or 2 in my opinion for the Jaguars draft needs. In fact, I would take receiver at number 17 if I were the Jacksonville Jaguars, and a guy that I liked was there.
Yeah, I think wide receiver is definitely your pressing need right now. It's the most important thing because, once again, we're talking about what Trevor Lawrence needs, but you can't shy away from interior defensive line or edge rush as well. I think you go the first round, you go wide receiver, and then adjust defense accordingly. You know, we didn't really break down what Houston did in free agency and everything, but, like, if you look at how the Houston season ended, right? I mean, they had a really good run. C.J. Stroud did his thing. But what happened? They hit a juggernaut in Baltimore who ran the ball down their throat. So then what did Houston do this offseason? Houston said, you know what? Okay, let's go ahead and bring in not Foye Luke, but Fatukasi. Let's go ahead and bring in Autry. Yeah, Foye Fatukasi. Let's go ahead and bring in Autry. You know, and then let's make sure that no team's going to run the ball down our throat ever again. Well, if you go back to the last Jaguars game of the season, Derrick Henry had his field day. Had the Jaguars really assured, like, hey, can a team run down the Jaguars' throat? Probably right now, yes. So that has to be addressed, whether it's going to be in free agency, so some guys available, or in the draft. But you got to keep in mind, there's other things to address besides wide receiver as well.
Yeah, there are other things to address, but here's the deal. This is what I don't think the front office thinks about what everybody else feels. But I just don't think you can go wrong at 17 if you pick wide receiver. 1, you might find a younger, cheaper option, which we've been talking about. 2, you always sell it as, hey, we're trying to take care of our quarterback. We're trying to do right by our quarterback. And you mentioned it earlier in the show. The things are starting to pile up when it comes to the negotiation table for Team Trevor on what they can say, hey, you did this, you didn't do this. Why aren't we doing this? So the more you can kind of say, yeah, but we added a wide receiver at 17. Now you got to pick the right guy. And I understand that. Like there's some definitely angst about about Trent Baalke picking the right guy. Joshua Brooks sent me this earlier in the show. These are the receivers Baalke has drafted over the years. I have zero faith he can pick wide receiver. In San Francisco, he picked Kyle Williams. That was in the round 6, by the way, and Ronald Johnson in round 6. A.J. Jenkins is the biggest one. At number 30 overall, a Jacksonville kid out of Illinois. He was a big bust. There's just no other way to put it, and that was a round 1 pick late in round 1 for the San Francisco 49ers. The other ones are round 4, Quentin Patton, round 4, Bruce Ellington, and round 4, DeAndre Smelter out of Georgia Tech. Out of Georgia Tech. I would say this about all that, Austin, about that resume. I mean, you're talking about 3 picks in the 4th round, 2 picks in the 6th round. He really only busted on the 1 pick in the 1st round with A.J. Jenkins. I mean, there's not a lot of history here that shows him picking wide receiver, and maybe that's the bigger story. It would be outside of the Trent Baalke box to do it.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's not his MO. Obviously, interior line on both sides of the ball is what Trent Baalke seems to really specialize in. So it does make you a little nervous. But once again, and this is just me, you know, speaking candidly, and I guess being hopeful here, which can always be a mistake. But I just feel like this wide receiver class is so deep that you're almost going to, I don't want to say luck into a great receiver, but like it should be pretty obvious if a guy falls to you, right? Like everyone's saying Brian Thomas Jr., and I agree with them. Like I think if Brian Thomas Jr. falls to you at pick 17, I think that's a hard guy to pass up.
Yeah, I agree with you. I totally agree. And I don't know which one. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I've evaluated every receiver. I know the names on the board. A guy like Thomas gets me excited with his speed and his size and things that he can do. And there are other players that can get you excited as well, from Neighbors, Odunze, and, of course, Marvin Harrison Jr., but those guys might be gone. I tend to agree with you, man. I think there are plenty of receivers to pick, and I think there's some you can hit on. You always run the risk of missing, but I think the Jags, if they play it right, can certainly hit on wide receiver in this draft, get younger, cheaper, and in the long run, I actually believe it could work out better for the Jaguars that they didn't keep Calvin Ridley and they got the guy instead, if they get that one right. We'll have more of your comments coming up. Plus, what did the Houston Texans and Indianapolis Colts do? How does the AFC South shake out? Who's better than they were at the end of the season? We'll talk more about it when we come back. We're live at the Players' Championship. 5 under par is the lead for Rory McIlroy. He had a fantastic early 9 holes to start the Players' Championship 2024. Xander Schauffele, 1 shot back at 4 under par. He's a name to watch, and oh, by the way, my pick to win the 2024 Players' Championship. In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jax team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580. It's a new logo, new branding, but with Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. And with that comes the perks we miss in the big business world. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at BoldCityAC.com. The folks at Bold City Heating and Air also know your AC unit is important and can be a big expense. That's why they have financing to help. No payments, no interest for 12 months on new systems. $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at BoldCityAC.com. Homegrown in your hometown. Bold City Heating and Air.
I've been forecasting the weather for a long time, and no matter where I go, I always get asked the same question.
Hey, Mike, what's the weather going to be like?
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Mike, hey, what's the weather going to be like?
I don't mind being asked because I always have the answer. Great day for a perfect round of golf. Hey, a little rain later today. So go ahead, ask me.
Hey, Mike, I'm heading out. What's the weather like tonight?
It's the same question, even at home.
Mike Burrish, he's got your weather answer on Action News Jax.
I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we're a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnicht Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnicht family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 2.9% right now for eligible buyers on Terrains and Acadias too. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnicht Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at nimnichtbuickgmc.com. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jacks, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jacks is always on. Now, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jacks 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jacks 24/7.
Alive Credit Union cares about our community. After all, it was founded by people in our community 70 years ago by a group of Florida Blue employees. And the mission still is to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. In here, they are more than just a bank. You can find Alive in the community, providing financial education to our youth, sharing programs that are geared toward building credit and rebuilding credit, and supporting causes with amazing organizations like the American Lung Association. This March, Alive Credit Union will be back for the 6th time as a longtime sponsor of the American Lung Association's Fight for Air Climb. The event is March 23rd downtown. Get your team of climbers, family, friends, co-workers. The event will be emceed by Action News Jax's Garrett Biedenbaugh. Be a part of our community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Hey, welcome back to the Players' Championship. Once again, just to update you on the scoreboard. It is Rory McIlroy through 10 holes now in the lead at 5 under par. Xander Schauffele 1 shot behind. Nick Taylor also 1 shot behind at 4 under. Then you've got a big group at 3 under. That includes Michael Kim, Jason Day, Lee Hodges, Tommy Fleetwood, Ludwig Oberg. I got to get used to that name. He's a stud. I should know it. Eric Van Rooyen, Ryan Fox, CT Pan, all at 3 under par. So plenty of good scoring out here at the Players' Championship to begin round 1 on this Thursday. And kind of keep reiterating it and saying it, but it is a very nice day out here in Ponte Vedra and scheduled to be the same the next couple of days as well. Brent Martineau Austen Lane, Jason Hamby, the Brent and Austin Show, and I do want to get some of your comments coming up in a bit because we've had a lot of interaction here the last couple of days on the Calvin Ridley front. I did say this yesterday, Austin. Can you imagine how wild this would be if we didn't get the leaks and the reports that we do this day and age, but specifically Monday and Tuesday, and everybody kept it quiet? And then at 4 o'clock yesterday, just this flood of moves and signings and all happened at once. Like, I don't even know if we could process it anyway. I'm sure the NFL probably likes it coming out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but there's a little bit, outside of the Calvin Ridley stuff, there's a little bit of a anticlimactic kind of feeling on Wednesday at 4 o'clock when the actual new league year begins. So if these things were quiet until then, it would be a fascinating Wednesday afternoon into evening.
No, it'd be very fascinating. Even I couldn't imagine just like the NFL would definitely make some kind of like TV show or day out of it. You know, I mean, it's like it'd be like the new draft day, if you will. Also, it really begs the question though in terms of tampering. You know, how does that whole thing work? Like, are you going through an agent? Is the agent like the middleman? Are some teams, you know, maybe breaking the rules a little bit? Like that's the one thing that has always been baffling to me about this whole thing is like when that clock strikes, like, all right, we're ready to go, sign them. You know, it's like, well, where do these conversations come from, or were you tampering?
Yeah, I get it, man. There's a little confusion on my end, too, and I think I just got to read into it more. It's almost fun to kind of just casually view this and have some opinions about it sometimes. But I probably should know a little bit more about the exact rules and regulations of the tampering and legal tampering. But there's a story now that, like, the Eagles may have done things a little too early with Saquon Barkley. Right? There's a story out there. But then I also thought about, wait a minute, why are the Jags introducing all their free agents today at 1:30? And also maybe Mac Jones, who, if they can pass a physical and that trade becomes complete. But how did Mitch Morse do it yesterday? Before the league year started at 4 o'clock. He
Correct.
actually signed his contract.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean, I can't tell you.
Don't really know, or just haven't thought about it. Like, I haven't thought about it. There's got to be some difference there. But I think to the casual, the reason I even ask it and say it like that is because I think that's the way the casual fan is too. Like, wait a minute, what's going on? But I said this earlier in the week. It's kind of like the NCAA and college basketball. You almost don't care about the rules here. Like, who cares who's following the rules? It's just fun to talk about, and all the news and information coming in, that's what we care about. Kind of like in college basketball. We don't care if you cheated or not. Just get us to March and fill out my bracket.
Well, for sure. Yeah, exactly. Hey, when we talk about, you said the second time I've heard you say it, with Mac Jones, the pending physical, like, has he taken one and it didn't pass, or like what are we waiting for? Like, what's the issue? Just turn and cough, and then go get Trevor Lawrence some Pedialyte. What are we doing?
Well, my understanding was it wasn't done as of yesterday because I think he was out of town and would be getting back into town, and so they would do it. So I just don't know the latest on it, but you do have to pass that part of it just to make sure everything gets signed and done. And we're getting in the chat, was Morse released by the Bills? That would have let him sign before 4 o'clock. You know what? You're probably right. There it is. That is the case. Rather than being like an unrestricted free agent, like a Saquon Barkley or somebody else, if you're not released. So that is true. You're not technically released by the team until 4 o'clock unless you were previously released. So there you go. Good clarification. But that's what I'm talking about. We put it all under the same umbrella. So, Austin, yeah, I think that's the latest on the Mac Jones stuff, is that he was out of town for a few days or not available, like, when the trade happened. Like, he had no idea the trade was going to be, consummated there. And so now they just have to get him in town.
Yeah.
I do think, they'll be down there at 1:30. Well, Action Sports Jacks will be there, which is also not easy during the Players' Championship week. Why do we have to do Players' Championship week and the free agency all at the same time? They don't care about us. That's fine. Nobody does. But it actually does make for a fun week with a lot of stuff going on. Makes for Brent to have a tough scheduling time for sure. I actually think, though, Austin, Mac Jones is a guy that probably – of the guys that they brought in will help the team the least, but I do think he's probably the biggest story today if he's there at that news conference.
Yeah, without a doubt. I'm dying to hear Mac Jones' comments. Like, I'm coming in here to do what? What do they tell you? Why are you in Jacksonville? Like, I love to hear all these comments because it's like I said, I think that the key to a backup quarterback is knowing that you're a backup quarterback. I'm not sure if Mac Jones knows he's a backup quarterback yet. I think he expects, and rightfully so, you want to have some of that competition, but I think he thinks that, hey, a great preseason, maybe a Trevor Lawrence 3 interception, 4 interception kind of game, and maybe I go in and I can show him exactly what I can do.
Yeah, listen, I think he can feel that way. He probably shouldn't say that. I think what you're talking about is, what does he sound like, right? What's the tone of his news conference? And there's really a lot to look at here. I mean, this isn't just a Jacksonville story. I think Mac Jones is a big story around the National Football League, definitely up in New England. I mean, the way things went in New England for him, I think it was very similar to Trevor year one here. I think you could classify it as almost unfair at times. Now, did he factor into it? Did he play into it? Did he play poorly? Did he not play good enough? Like, all those things are fine. But I do think, everybody wants to be put in a position to have success. And I think Mac Jones was not the last couple of years in New England, specifically 2 years ago. I think Trevor wasn't year one here in Jacksonville. And you can't ask these guys to overcome all of it. So as fascinating as your perspective is on it, Austin, to say, okay, what's my role on this team? How do I feel about being a backup quarterback now? I think from a National Football League perspective, the outside looking into this, when Mac Jones talks, you kind of wonder if there will be anything he'll shed light on about what just transpired in New England the last couple of years.
No, it's crazy how, of all these signings, it's a lot of signings that we didn't expect. I mean, obviously we expected a center, but on the defensive side of the ball, and at least from my opinion, the one I'm going to be keying in on most is the backup quarterback. Wild.
Yeah, and that's why I thought that was a pretty interesting story, too. You're right. I mean, he will be probably, you hope he's the guy that makes the least impact of all the moves that were just made this week. But I think he'll be probably the loudest talker today here in Jacksonville and around the National Football League. All right, I want to check in with the rest of the AFC South. Jason Hamby has brought some material to the table today, and he already gave us a little insight on Tennessee. But let's now focus on Houston and Indianapolis and how the Jags shake out compared to those other two teams in the AFC South. Hamby, what do you have on Houston? What did they do? How much better did they get? Because right now they have to be the front-running team in the AFC South. They are the team to beat as the reigning division champs.
Yeah, so at running back they go from Singletary and Pierce to Joe Mixon, trading with him with the Bengals. They re-signed Dalton Schultz as their tight end. And that's really it on the offensive side. So their offense is going to look more or less the same. Obviously, Joe Mixon will be a big change. On the defense, they have a ton of moves. So on the line, Danico Audrey. On the edge, obviously, Daniil Hunter. Linebacker, Azeez Al-Shaair. And then they sign 3 cornerbacks and bring back another. They re-sign Desmond King. They go get Jeff Okudah. They sign Lonnie Johnson, who's I don't know who that player is. He's a 1-year contract. I got to believe that's a role player. And Mike Ford, a 2-year deal with $4 million, probably another role player. Then they re-sign Eric Murray, a safety, and their kicker, Kaimi Fairbairn. So you have your big playmakers, Mixon. They bring back Schultz. They get Autry and Daniil Hunter, and then Okudah at the corner spot.
All right, that's a lot of moves, and they really do that defensively. Now, DeMeco Ryans a defensive guy, so they build up that defense. They feel like they're pretty good on offense, to your point. They had got good production the last couple of years out of their running back. So, I mean, I think if they just get the same production out of a guy like Joe Mixon, they'll feel pretty good about it. How much does he have left? I don't think that one changes them. I think you're right about Schultz. We'll see what else they do in the draft. Probably to even beef up that offensive line even more, although they got good play out of that, even if it wasn't healthy the entire time. The defense is really where they went to work, Austin. They were okay on defense. They, at times, were really good on defense. I think Hunter and Anderson, obviously, are the headliners on this defense, but it looks like they got markedly better on that side of the ball.
Yeah, they got a lot better. And once again, like I was talking about, if you go back to the last game of the season against the Baltimore Ravens, Houston just, they were outmanned. They weren't physical enough, and I think some of these pieces that you brought in make them a more physical team. Now, I would be remiss to say, was I almost having a heart attack last night because I thought Calvin Ridley was going to Houston as well, and that would have just put the Texans, I think, over the top? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, Houston, I think they're a front runner right now, and I think they got better. I think, in terms of Singletary, what he was able to do in that running game was a huge help for them because Dameon Pierce, for whatever reason, just turned out not to be that guy, and he showed great promise, a great guy in breaking tackles, but just couldn't put it all together. Singletary took over. I think as long as Mixon can stay healthy, I think that it's actually an upgrade from Singletary, so I think the running game gets more dynamic, gets better, and obviously another year with C.J. Stroud on that offense. Like, I get not having to really move around a lot of pieces on offense just because of what you had last year. You show up the defense. You got a defensive-minded coach. Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it because I hate giving Houston their flowers, but a pretty good, free agent signing period for them.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty good one, too. I think it could have been even splashier and scarier, but I think overall it's very strong, solid. They got a lot better. So, listen, there's excitement in Houston. I think there should be the way they're building this thing up. And they probably have a lot of room to do other things, down the road if they want to. They still got plenty of money to mess around with and where they're at. Remember, they're about a year behind on the construction of their team compared to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they did it a little bit differently because they hit so well in the draft and now can add pieces around. And they were aggressive in the draft. Don't forget that part of it, right? I mean, the Jags have been a bit aggressive. They had a couple of picks when they had Trevor and Etienne. They were a little aggressive to go back in and get Devin Lloyd, but the Houston Texans were a lot aggressive to go up and get Will Anderson and get 2 of the best players in the draft in the first 5 picks of that draft last year. So how much will that pay off for years and years to come? It certainly looks like it's helped change their franchise. All right, Hamby, what about the Indianapolis Colts, who actually just added Joe Flacco to the mix? That one certainly doesn't scare anybody, but what else did they do?
All right, well, that's pretty much that is the only new player that they have signed so far this offseason. They have
they kept
quite
their
a few
own,
moves.
Right?
Yeah, they've kept their own. So they re-signed Michael Pittman, edge Tyquan Lewis, end Jannard Avery, DT Grover Stewart, Zaire Franklin, good football player at the linebacker spot, 3 years, $31 million. Corner Kenny Moore, good football player, 3 years, $30 million, and their punter. So other than Flacco, they've only just kept their own.
That's interesting, Austin. Does that mean they really just want to see Anthony Richardson, how much he can elevate this team? Because I think you can make the argument with the unknown with Anthony Richardson that Gardner Minshew's season and what he was able to do and get them on the doorstep of the playoffs might even be better what Anthony Richardson can do and what will be now his really first full year in the NFL if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, that's going to be a big if he can stay healthy. You know, that guy's got to learn to get out of bounds more and not take so many big hits. I get it, man. Like you're built differently. You're a big dude. Ego can prevail sometimes, but you still got to be smart in terms of what hits you take and what hits you don't take. Just ask Lamar Jackson about that. I think, listen, Indianapolis, not necessarily the sexiest free agency, but they did re-sign a lot of their guys, and it shows, hey, we like the core talent that we have. We like, they re-signed Michael Pittman, as you should. He's going to be a staple for a long time in that organization. So while it's not a lot of flashy names, it's Joe Flacco as a backup, okay. But besides that, nothing really crazy. Yeah, I think they want to run it back, and they want to see what Anthony Richardson can do. I get it.
I'm a little bit surprised they haven't done anything on to add a weapon for Anthony Richardson, because I understand you don't know exactly what he has yet. But to run out Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, and Josh Downs as your three receivers with really nothing even behind them is surprising. I'm just surprised they didn't go get even, some receiver. Or, they still could, obviously, maybe a Mike Williams, which doesn't make a ton of sense for them. And I'm not sure exactly where they are with cap space, Brent. But nonetheless,
they have plenty. I think they've got they got plenty of cap. And here's the deal, Hamby. I think they have the 15th overall pick, so they could be right in that sweet spot to get a receiver, much like the Jags. In fact, it might be a true contender if the Jags want to go wide receiver with the Colts to get somebody like that. Or how about another player that they could go get where the Jags could have interest if he falls this far, and I'm not sure he will, is a Jared Verse out of Florida State for a pass rusher standpoint. So the Colts are in an interesting position right here at 15, 2 slots ahead of the Jags, maybe needing some of the same stuff the Jags could be chasing in the draft. I think that will be something to watch come April.
And the more and more I kind of look at as things pan out in mock drafts and what teams need, the more and more I'm convinced that if Brian Thomas is the 4th best receiver, that he will be taken before 17 if he's the 4th best receiver. So what I'm saying is 4 receivers will be taken before 17, so I'm less and less confident that it'll just be those 3 guys before the Jags pick, and they'll have their pick of the litter.
Yeah, we'll see. I think the Jags might have to be aggressive in 2 different ways. Aggressive to say, hey, I want receiver at number 17, which they haven't really done a lot over the history of this organization, and Trent Baalke hasn't done, but they might also have to move up a few spots to jump in front of people if they covet a certain player and give up some things en route to doing it. Maybe holding on to that second-round pick puts them in a favorable position to do that now. They've got some other picks later on or a future pick next year. We'll see how aggressive they want to get in that way. Hey, one other note out here, guys, as we get set to take another break. But Caleb Williams, the USC quarterback, is actually out here on the course today, following around. He was following Rory McIlroy's group, and I guess he's become a little bit of a golf fan. He wasn't an avid fan before, but he's in the area training with Denny Thompson, who Anthony Richardson actually trained with prior to last year's draft. Brock Purdy also spends time in Jacksonville training, so this has become a training ground for some of the top quarterbacks in the country, and Caleb Williams out here at TPC Sawgrass. Maybe we get him on the show. Maybe we pull him over here. See if he's going to the Chicago Bears, Austin.
Get him on the horn. Let's go, Brent. He's not going to watch all that golf. He's there for the scenes and everything. Get a microphone in front of his face and let's go.
I doubt we're going to get him on, but we'll try. Maybe we'll chase him down a little bit. We do have Andrew Catalon scheduled to join us.
Even better.
Catalon. Catalon is better. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I said even better. Yeah.
Even better. We do have Andrew scheduled to join us at the top of the hour. Let's take a break here at TPC Sawgrass, live from the Players' Championship. Quick check at your leaderboard, and it is 600 par now for Xander Schauffele and Rory McIlroy, two big names tied at the top, having terrific first rounds through just 12 holes. So plenty more to go get here at TPC Sawgrass in round one of the Players' Championship. And we'll keep you covered all day long here with Action Sports Shacks at TPC Sawgrass, and more football conversation coming up on this show, the Brent and Austen Show, live from Ponte Vedra. Alive Credit Union cares about our community. After all, it was founded by people in our community 70 years ago by a group of Florida Blue employees. And the mission still is to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. In here, they are more than just a bank. You can find Alive in the community, providing financial education to our youth, sharing programs that are geared toward building credit and rebuilding credit, and supporting causes with amazing organizations like the American Lung Association. This March, Alive Credit Union will be back for the 6th time as a longtime sponsor of the American Lung Association's Fight for Air Climb. The event is March 23rd downtown. Get your team of climbers, family, friends, co-workers. The event will be emceed by Action News Jax's Garrett Biedenbaugh. Be a part of our community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
Navigating to that perfect car can be a daunting task. Trust me, I understand, but if you want to find the perfect blend of sales and service for your automotive needs, look no further than the Tom Bush family of dealerships.
Here at Tom Bush, they do things right. Dating back to 1970, they've been a staple in the community, giving back and keeping everything local. With 4 different brands to choose from, BMW, Mazda, Volkswagen, and many, there's a car for every member of the family, and the customer service is second to none. Looking to add an electric vehicle to your fleet? Tom Bush remains at the forefront of new technology with plenty of staff on hand to walk you through the future of driving and help eligible customers file for that EV tax credit.
Whether you're looking for your future driver's first car or you want to step up to luxury and arrive in style, the Tom Bush family of dealerships is the only stop that you need to make.
Stop by the showroom or check out the inventory at tombush.com.
Go where all the pros go. Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute takes care of athletes at the highest level, like the Jacksonville Jaguars players. They will take care of you, too. Our team covers a lot of teams here in Jacksonville: FSCJ, JU, the Axemen, the Jumbo Shrimp, the Sharks, and, of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars. JOI covers all those teams as well. And then there's youth sports. My kids play baseball and softball. And whenever we have an injury question, the first call is to JOI. Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute has been serving Jacksonville for 30 years, and they have over 30 specially trained physicians and assistants at 5 locations in the area. If your injury is specific to an area of the body, JOI has a specialist. They also are leaders in robotic surgery, joint replacement, and sports medicine. JOI Rehab has 13 locations and 90 therapists to get you better. Comprehensive care with caring physicians and staff at JOI. From youth sports to high school, college, and the pros, Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. JOI. Go where all the pros go.
Get outside.
Yeah.
Make friends. Learn life lessons with the First Tee.
Golf is kind of like life in a way.
You can take some stuff you learn on the course and take that and use it in every single day life.
Donate to First Tee's Playday campaign and everybody wins.
For every $10 you've donated, you're entered to win a free round with a buddy.
At the stadium course, home of the players, with this guy, Len Matisse. Scan the code on your screen or visit actionnewsjax.com to learn more.
I'm Action News Jax First Alert meteorologist Garrett Biedenbaugh. The sun is up and it's going to be a beautiful day.
Sometimes you just need a day to yourself. And Garrett's First Alert forecast makes sure you're ready to go out and enjoy. Garrett and the Action News Jax This Morning team, helping you start your morning right.
Discover how good your water can be with a new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's twin tank, non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We know that at our home. You can find out as well. Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? Well, CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions to improve it. The higher your water score, the better your water. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242, cgcwater.com. Financing options are available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Look at TPC Sawgrass Players Championship underway and some good scoring out there. Xander Schauffele, Rory McIlroy in the lead, so star-studded leaderboard. Of course, we have the best field in golf, so usually going to get some of the big names, even though some of the big names have defected to the Live Golf. Still plenty of big ones here at TPC Sawgrass for the Players Championship. Brent Martineau along with Austen Lane and Jason Hamby here on a Thursday opening round of the Players, and we'll have full coverage tonight, 11:15 on CBS 47 and Fox 30. You can also check out our Action Sports Jax YouTube page and also Facebook page to see some of the shows that we've been doing and the coverage from here. Listen, we hit on a bunch of things already. We're going to have Andrew Catalan join us, talk a little March Madness, but also NFL and golf. He calls Masters coverage too, so we get all the sweet spots with Andrew Catalan coming up at noon. He's actually out in Vegas at the Mountain West Conference tournament. But before we do that, we've also hit on a lot of Calvin Ridley talk. What the Jags will do at number 17. What's the domino effect? And I guess when you come right back to it, a lot of the interaction we're getting on social media with the fans over the last 48 hours, maybe it's just 36 hours, Austin, is there was a little ray of hope that the faith in this organization to make the right moves, to get it right, to bounce back in 2024 was kind of ramping up toward confidence level from the fan base. And I do think, at least for the time being, until another move is made or until maybe we see this team in the fall and they prove it, that they can do it, I think that has kind of flipped back to where it was, that all of a sudden it's, you better show us because we don't believe it.
Exactly what it is. And I think when we talk about expectations, I think people were expecting Calvin Ridley to come back, whether people wanted to see him back or not. I think it's what Trevor Lawrence wanted. I think it helps your offense bringing him back, and now he's gone. So you have to find a way to replace that. And once again, with a very deep wide receiver class, but it's funny, Hamby and I were actually just breaking it down during the break where theoretically Thomas Jr., who I feel like everybody wants, I get it, 6'3", 4'3", guy's a speedster, he's got size, he's got what you want. He may not be there. So then what's the next play going to be? Are you going to reach a little bit? Do you trade up? Do you go another position, take a running wide receiver in the second round? These are questions that, will remain to be seen. And keep in mind, I think people wanted Calvin Ridley back here because he was the sure thing. I don't think people want to give this organization the power to draft a wide receiver, right? To rely on filling those holes in the draft. I think people felt more comfortable of filling those holes in free agency.
Yeah, I think so too. I think what right? I mean, there's this relatively unknown, which is the draft, and we wouldn't know. And by the way, we won't even know if they took Brian Thomas or somebody else. You name your favorite receiver. Even if it's a headline guy, you don't know until we see it in action and how it blends in with the show. So with the offense, and hopefully an offensive show. So that's just part of it. That is part of it. But I do think we've reached a point again now. It's like, okay, the Jags are real. This is such a critical offseason. I've said this many times. The Jags will have to now show it on the field There's not going to be this, hey, we won the offseason, I think, right now because of the Calvin Ridley stuff. Now, could they make another move that changes that? Absolutely. Could you build some hype around the draft because you get a couple of players in positions that people really want and covet and they agree with you? Listen, this is a business, and we're in the same kind of business. People like to hear what they want to hear. People like to see what they want to see. Like, that's just the nature of it. The Jags wanted to see, or Jags fans wanted to see Calvin Ridley back in a Jags uniform. They didn't see it. So therefore, they disagree. Does it make it the wrong move? Not necessarily, until you show them that the right move was made. And I don't even know if that right move has even happened yet, Austin. So it's the series of moves that the Jags will make. But I'm now convinced that it doesn't matter what they do the rest of this offseason. It really matters what they do in September. And I think we're going to really have to wait and see. Maybe with the one caveat of Doug Peterson taking back play calling duties. But I just get a feeling that the fans are not jacked up anymore about this offseason based on the Ridley news alone. There's a comment in the chat that says even Gabe Davis's skill set makes Higgins redundant. The hole at cornerback is way bigger than wide receiver. We did nothing on defensive line that was absent most of the time. I mean, does Gabe Davis wash out every wide receiver that everyone wants?
I mean, I guess so. I feel like T. Higgins is more of a jump ball guy than Gabe Davis is. Gabe Davis is what, 6'1", 6'2"?
I think it's a totally different body.
I think when I see Gabe Davis touchdowns, it's usually because he's burning his man, and the guy's like 5 yards behind him, and then it's an easy touchdown for him. With T. Higgins, it's a little more dynamic where you see some jump balls he goes up and gets, or he kind of bullies a cornerback. So I don't agree with Gabe Davis and T. Higgins being a similar style. I think it's different.
Yeah, Gabe Davis is 6'2". He definitely showed that he can go up and get it, but I would definitely say T. Higgins definitely a different player. He gives you more of that downfield jumping, but Gabe Davis definitely is like he's rounding out his route tree, because at UCF it really was go ball, hitch, corner, and a lot of that was because of Heupel's offense. Heupel only ran 3-4 plays at UCF, but last year, I watched a lot of Gabe Davis because of UCF, whatever. He's really rounding that out where he can have 6-7 routes in his tree, and he can go up and get it probably better than most people probably give him credit for, but still not T. Higgins level.
One other note here, D. Anders says, Balky messed this up bad. Gabe Davis, $39 million for a receiver that never had over 1,000 yards in a season. Doug Pete got to change the offensive. I'm assuming he meant just the scheme and everything else. That is one part of it. Gabe Davis for $13 million or Calvin Ridley for $23 million. I mean, should they have not done Gabe Davis and went more all in on Calvin Ridley, Austin? The one thing I do say about Gabe Davis I like is the fact that he's a younger receiver. He's going to be here a bit.
Yeah, I mean, you got to like that. Obviously, it's an astronomical price difference between a Gabe Davis and a Calvin Ridley. But also, I think a lot of Gabe Davis's success came playing alongside of Stephon Diggs, who once again is a true one receiver. Does Christian Kirk take some of that bump and let Gabe Davis run wild? I don't know. I think that's why the need, whatever the X receiver, whatever the one receiver looks like, I still think you need that guy to help free up Gabe Davis, because from just a one receiver standpoint in terms of running, like in what Hamby was saying, you're running the entire route tree, he's not that guy. But if you take some attention off Gabe Davis, then yes, he's slippery. He can get open.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to watch this. I mean, what they have, the style of their receivers, what their skill set can be, who is on the roster, of course, if they add another receiver down the road. But right now, as it looks, Gabe Davis, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and obviously have Evan Ingram catching a lot of passes too. I mean, it's not a bad lineup. It's a matter of how you see them plugged in and how much you get wrapped in with having that number one true wide receiver, which there's just not a lot of those out there. And again, I think it's worth repeating. I'm not sure the Jags looked at Calvin Ridley in that kind of vein, even as a top-flight number one wide receiver. It's pretty obvious that the Titans sure did, giving him that kind of contract. Let's take a break from the Players' Championship and TPC Sawgrass. When we come back, we talk a little golf, we talk a little March Madness, and we talk a little NFL with Andrew Catalon. He is coming up live here on the Brent and Austen Show from Las Vegas. The Players' Championship underway, round number 1. And obviously a push to the Olympics in Paris in 2024 here as well. That is on the horizon. It's going to be a busy summer. In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580. It's a new logo, new branding, but with Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. And with that comes the perks we miss in the big business world. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at BoldCityAC.com. The folks at Bold City Heating and Air also know your AC unit is important and can be a big expense. That's why they have financing to help. No payments, no interest for 12 months on new systems. $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at BoldCityAC.com. Homegrown in your hometown. Bold City Heating and Air.
I've been forecasting the weather for a long time, and no matter where I go, I always get asked the same question.
Hey, Mike, what's the weather gonna be like?
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Mike, hey, what's the weather going to be like?
I don't mind being asked because I always have the answer. Great day for a perfect round of golf. Hey, a little rain later today. So go ahead, ask me.
Hey, Mike, I'm heading out. What's the weather like tonight?
It's the same question, even at home.
Mike Burrish, he's got your weather answer on Action News Jacks.
I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we're a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnicht Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnicht family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 2.9% right now for eligible buyers on Terrains and Acadias too. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnicht Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at NimnichtBuickGMC.com. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jacks, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jacks is always on. Now, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jacks 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jacks 24/7.
Alive Credit Union cares about our community. After all, it was founded by people in our community 70 years ago by a group of Florida Blue employees. And the mission still is to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. In here, they are more than just a bank. You can find Alive in the community, providing financial education to our youth, sharing programs that are geared toward building credit and rebuilding credit, and supporting causes with amazing organizations like the American Lung Association. This March, Alive Credit Union will be back for the 6th time as a longtime sponsor of the American Lung Association's Fight for Air Climb. The event is March 23rd downtown. Get your team of climbers, family, friends, co-workers. The event will be emceed by Action News Jax's Garrett Biedenbaugh. Be a part of our community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Hey, welcome back to the Players' Championship. There's a time lapse of the fan shop. You better get it before it goes, especially if you have something of a favorite to get here at the Players' Championship. But a lot of stuff to pick from. They continue to grow that. And what a story at the Players' Championship so far. Xander Schauffele, Rory McIlroy in the lead. Tommy Fleetwood a shot back. We have some excellent scoring going on here at TPC Sawgrass and the Players. Brent Martineau, Austen Lane, the Brent and Austin Show. And Austen Lane, about 15 years ago, a couple of people came out of Albany, New York, doing TV. One person made it big. The other person was me. The one person that made it big was Andrew Catalon, our buddy from CBS Sports, and he calls games for the NFL, of course, with the Jaguars. He was like the guy calling games for the Jags a couple of years ago, and he got bigger and bigger, and now he only calls like 1 or 2 games a year. Also calls Masters coverage and the NCAA tournament. He's one of the best in the business. He's our buddy, and he's out in Vegas at the Mountain West Conference tournaments. Say hello to Andrew Catalon. That's a hell of an introduction for you, man, this morning. Way to wake up in Vegas. I can only hear you so much out here at the Players' Championship, so I'm going to ask you this question. What does the Mountain West Conference Championship look like? Are you calling all 4 games, by the way, out there today on CBS Sports Network? If so, that's a lot of homework to do, man. All right. I think Andrew can hear me. Hamby, we can't hear Andrew right now. I thought I was the only one that can't hear him. Andrew, hang on tight with us. We're going to get some of that figured out. And Jason, take us off, Andrew, off until you guys can figure that on your end for a minute. But I thought I was the only one that couldn't hear him out here at the Players' Championship. But I guess Austin can't hear him as well. So we'll get back to him in just a couple of moments. Now that we get the chat up, now I can see everybody can't hear Austen Lane. It's hard.
That is correct.
We're in a couple of different places and trying to go to Vegas too. So you let us know, Hamby, if you can get us to hear Andrew. I don't want to keep him too long because he does have a busy day, and I missed all the nice things he probably said about me, Austin.
Yeah, man, he blew it. Now he's got to come in, inconvenienced and everything. Not going to get the best version of Andrew Catalon now, so it's going to be interesting to see where he goes from here. Hey, Brent, quick question for you. Are the allergies getting to you today?
Well, they were in the last segment. You saw that, right? I obviously had to go to the
I think the entire feed saw
napkin,
it, yes.
Snot rag. Well, I can't hide it, man. I mean, I can either that or it's just all just going to be there. So I had a bad moment, but I think right now I've got it under control. I'm sitting out here in a world filled with pollen as the temperatures are starting to pop.
Hey, Brent, I always say this, man. Regardless of whoever it is, as long as you step in the cage and you get in a fight, I have nothing but respect for you. Can't come with you on get your ass kicked by some flowers. All right? You're on your own on that one. All right? Imagine walking outside waiting to get mugged by some flowers, waiting to get jumped by some flowers, man. It's a 10-8 round right now, and it's advantage Flowers over Brent Martineau.
Listen, it could get worse. I'm hoping it doesn't reach peak level like it did at the NFL Combine because that one was really tough. And by the way, there are times when I have my allergies that I would rather you just knock me out in a cage and deal with the allergies.
I thought you were going to say you'd rather have me get those allergies. Dude, with this big schnoz, you want that snot coming out of my nose? No, man, we're going to have snot on tap for weeks if that happens.
Man, it certainly would be the case. Hey, we're trying to get Andrew. I don't want to keep him too long. Hamby, you just let me know if we got to give up on it, and we'll try again at a later date. Maybe when we're back both in studio, we can do that. But again, Andrew's got a busy day out there. He's kind enough to jump in, and you never know. We're trying some new things here. It's okay. It's part of the deal. Be patient with us, and we'll try it again down the road if it doesn't work. But the NCAA tournament is coming up. I've been anticipating this one, Austin. Purdue, can they win it all? Who else can win it all? That's probably wide open. But I just think it's going to be a lot of craziness. We saw the ASUN tournament here locally. It was a wild tournament. I think the brand of basketball overall right now in college is actually kind of fun to watch. I think it's opened up a bit, the scoring, the high flying, everything else. So I'm really anticipating this tournament and the unknown of what we could get. Listen, March is always good, Austin. I just have a feeling this one's going to have some really fun stuff and high entertainment value because I think there's a lot of unknown.
Yeah, there is a lot of unknown, and it's hard to get a beat on a lot of things. I mean, obviously, Houston's got to be one of the favorites to go deep. They're a really solid team, absolutely whooped Kansas a couple days ago. But when you talk about how this tournament shakes, like I remember last year, people were kind of on like, yeah, UConn, they're a favorite going into this, that they're playing the right brand of basketball at the right time towards the end of the season. And a lot of people had UConn going, and guess what? They won. This year, man, it's hard to get a beat on all these teams, because even in the conference tournaments, like a lot of these lower seeds are taking the whole thing home and going to the tournament. So, like Stetson's in it, right?
Yeah, Stetson won. Stetson was in it. It could have been anybody from the ASUN, but Stetson was able to get it done.
I don't even know what Stetson is.
This
okay,
again.
Sorry.
Stetson's right down like an hour down the road, man. They're in DeLand. They're just like right down the road. You go by it when you go to Orlando.
Well, then let's get some signage on the highway. You got plenty of, stuff on the side of the highway. Get some signage with Stetson. Show him some love then.
All right, let's show Andrew Catalon some love, or at least he's showing us some love, hanging with us, and a little patience hopefully pays off right now. Can you hear us, Cat?
I've been able to hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
There you are. You sound good. I don't know. Oh, Austin can hear you, too. Hey, listen, you were just a part of a little bit of Action Sports Shack's 24/7 network history. We troubleshooted, and we won. We won this one. We figured it out. Like, that's a big deal in our place. You know the TV business.
What I was trying to say before when you gave me that incredibly nice introduction is that you're the superstar because you were in every single one of the commercials during that last break that I watched. That is a new record for most appearances in a commercial.
Yeah, I didn't warn you about that. Sorry. We're trying to spread the love a little bit here on this new endeavor. Thanks for hanging with us. You're out in Vegas. Let me ask you the question I did ask. You're at the Mountain West Conference tournament. How good is that conference, by the way? How entertaining will that be today? And are you calling all of them? I think there are 4 quarterfinal games today.
Yeah, there's 4 games today. I'm doing 2 of them. Then I'm calling both semis tomorrow night and a championship game Saturday. This is a banner year for the Mountain West. They're expecting to have 6 teams in the tournament, and if UNLV is able to win this conference tournament and it's on their home floor and they're red hot, they could have as many as 7. New Mexico is a bit of a bubble team. They got a big one against Boise State tonight, but I've been coming out here for over a decade for this conference tournament. This is probably the best it's ever been, so we'll see how they do in the NCAAs this year. Obviously, San Diego State going all the way to the championship game a year ago.
Andrew, I've always been okay. Yep, no problem. Andrew, I've been super curious, man. As someone who wants to be a commentator, possibly one day I'll probably be more like on Nickelodeon or something like that, calling the games. But you do NFL, you do PGA Tour, you do college basketball, you do everything. What is the difference in terms of prep time? And with a sport like golf, is it a little more laid back and casual, or you can kind of just be a little more easygoing, as opposed to like football or basketball where it's nonstop action?
Yeah, they're all very different. I would say, Austin, that NFL is the most challenging to prepare for because there's guys like you and Brent who watch every single second of a Jaguars game every week, and I'm kind of parachuting in for, as Brent said before, 1 or 2 games a year. So it's on me to get up to speed to know the team as well as I can. So football weeks are really intense. College basketball, a little different. Obviously, there's fewer players to prepare for, really only 8, 9 guys on a team compared to 53 for NFL. And golf is a whole different animal. Storytelling is so much more important than any of those other 3. You have time. The pacing is slower. And really, you're just focusing on the top half of the leaderboard for the most part. So all 3 are very different. I would say college basketball this time of year is intense because I haven't seen a lot of these teams. But on a whole, NFL is probably the most challenging.
Andrew Catalon with us here on our Brent and Austin show, kind enough to take some time ahead of the Mountain West Conference tournament from Las Vegas. How good is March Madness going to be? You might have been able to hear some of our conversation. I just have this feeling, Andrew, it's always good, obviously, but I feel like there's just a lot unknown. I don't know if Purdue and UConn are going to run away with it or somebody like that. Are we about to get an unbelievable tournament filled with drama?
Brent, last year I had the Purdue loss to FDU, the 116 game. And, obviously nobody saw that coming. I think college basketball has really changed to, quote unquote, when we were kids, which is now becoming longer and longer ago. With the NIL money, college basketball has become so much older. It's really hard to win with freshmen. I think that really hurt Purdue last year. Obviously, they had Zach Edey, but their guards were young. And even though Fairleigh Dickinson was, a small school team, they had guys that were in their 20s. I mean, there's guys in the Mountain West that are 26 years old that I'm going to call this week. That's unheard of in the past. So I think that's why it creates a little more upsets. You've got older teams that aren't scared or intimidated of the big stage.
Andrew, and do you think that kind of, in terms of college basketball, that's great for the sport, right? Because it's always about the mid-major, right? The Cinderella story, and that's where experience can come into play a little bit. But at the same time now, I feel like with the transfer and everything and the NIL deals, players are constantly moving, going to bigger universities. Do you think mid-majors will still have their run, will still have their time, or are we starting to see maybe them dying out a little bit now because everyone is transferring and taking those NIL deals?
Yeah, it's a great point, Austin. I mean, I just feel like if you're at a smaller school and you've got a player that averages 20-7 in his freshman year, he might be gone. I mean, there's so much turnover, there's so much change that I feel for some of these smaller schools is that you can't really build a program anymore. It's hard to say I'm going to get a guy who's a freshman, I'm going to develop him into an all-conference player over 4 years. If he's any good, he might be gone. That's kind of the sad part I feel sometimes of this new college basketball world. It's not that case for every smaller school or mid-major, as you point out, but I save all my boards every year and I'll pull them out, and it's almost like there's nobody I can steal notes from last year because they're all on someone else's team now. So it's just crazy how much turnover there is.
Oh, and by the way, that impacts everything. That impacts programs. That impacts impacts coaches. It impacts kids and parents too, because there's no path for a kid going to join a program as a freshman, say a redshirt freshman, or get in the weight room and say, I'm going to play the next year or my junior year. You just can't do that anymore because they're likely going to bring somebody else in, and you never saw it coming that you were going to have to compete with that kid. UNF is a great example here. They lost a couple of guys through the transfer portal because of NIL money that they just couldn't pay. They're going to lose another one. Chaz Lanier was unbelievable this year for UNF. He was averaging 20-something a game in ASUN play, and he's going to probably go get couple $100,000 to go play somewhere else, and he has graduated, so that's a little bit of a different scenario. You can't blame the kid. So it has totally changed the landscape in college basketball and really in college sports. All right, I don't want to keep you too long, so I want to hit on a couple other things like the NFL. You follow, obviously, the NFL very close. You've done a lot of Jags games, a lot of AFC South games, Andrew. Last time I saw you this year, it was the Houston and Jaguars games, and we thought the Jags that was a big win and on their way to doing some special things. Then they collapsed down the stretch of the season. What are your thoughts right now on the Jags, where they sit, especially after losing Calvin Ridley yesterday to the Tennessee Titans?
Yeah, I saw you Thanksgiving. I thought that was a huge win. I thought it was really going to be a springboard for the Jags, and it didn't turn out that way, as you guys all know. I really like Gabe Davis. I call the Bills preseason games for the last 7-8 years, so I've seen a lot of Gabe. He's a big playmaker. You guys know, but he's not going to maybe be as consistent a threat as Ridley from the start of the game to the end. But when you need a big catch on third down or you got to go down the field and make a play, he can be that guy. So obviously Ridley got a ton of money, and I'm sure the Jags would have loved to have kept him. But I like Gabe. I mean, he wants to be great too. He's got that makeup about him. He has high aspirations for what his career should be. So I think that's a good fit. And look, the division's a lot better on a whole. I mean, you can't say that, this team is not going to have it. I mean, I love what the Titans have done. I think they now, I don't know about Callahan as a coach. We're going to find that out. But I think as a roster, they are a lot better than they were last year. And I think Houston's going to be, one of the favorites, if not the favorite again. And the Colts, will see what they have with Richardson. But I think that for a division that was kind of down for a while, now you can make a case it's one of the stronger divisions out there. And that'll only make it tougher for the Jags. But I think they've got the talent, and I really like Coach Peterson to make some noise again this year.
Andrew, real quick, man, I want to get back to just your schedule. It seems like kind of like a gauntlet coming up here in the next couple of days for you in terms of your voice and everything, calling back-to-back Tommy Namsky games here. I mean, do you have any special thing that you do for your voice? Do you have a special tea, a special concoction, or do you just get your 8 hours of sleep, start out bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and get ready to roll?
Yeah, it's great. It's something that's on my mind a lot, Austin. In fact, a few years ago, I started working with a vocal coach. This is really getting in the weeds here, but he's given me warm-up exercises that I'll do with my voice before a game because – this next 3 weeks, I'll call 5 games this week, 6 games next week, 3 games the following week. I got to stay healthy. And so, a lot of water. I have throat lozenges. But the big thing is, not to do as many commercials as Brent. As long as I stay away from that workload, I'll probably be okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. I did not know you had that. I wonder, do others that call, when you think of Jim Nantz, obviously, and I think you potentially could be following in his footsteps here. And we always talk about how he goes from the Final Four to the Masters. And I mean, is that pretty common with guys that call a bunch of games from Harlan to others to Tirico, that you'll have to do some of those warm up things almost like you're a singer?
Yeah, I don't know if I think some of the others do that to answer your question. I always just never thought of it. If you're a pitcher, like your daughter, Brent, a softball pitcher, she has a pitching coach, right, who works on her pitching mechanics. I never thought of my voice as an instrument that needed to be tuned. It was just, all right, show up and call the game. But to be honest, I probably would lose my voice if I didn't do some of the things that I have to do. So again, it's a very minor thing, but maybe there's a pitching coach that gives Kaylee one little, tip on her, on her fastball, and maybe she uses that. And for me, there's one little thing that he's given me that I can maybe, work with in this busy time.
He's working on his craft, Austin, like you are, getting into a cage. I mean, you put that headset on, a microphone in front of your face, and it's like you getting into a cage to take on whoever in Las Vegas, by the way, later in April.
No, without a doubt, man. I didn't know that so much goes into it. Now I don't want to be a commentator anymore. That sounds like a lot of work, man. Especially getting your 8 hours of sleep, man. I'm trying to go out and, I'm trying to see what the cities have to offer here. Andrew, I have one more question for you real quick. Obviously a guy who's you've been to Augusta before. You've called the Masters. Do they put the microphones right on the birds? Are they tiny microphones, or how can we hear the birds so well? Or is somebody maybe hitting some buttons a little bit, turning them up a little bit? And can you hear the birds when you're calling the Masters tournament?
I don't think there's buttons, and I understand your question because I know there's some talk about it. But when I'm there, and Brent, you've been there, I mean, it's almost like you're in this sanctuary of golf and nature, and those sounds are legit. So I don't think there's any buttons being pushed, because if you went, you'd hear them too.
Okay. Fantastic. I mean, hey,
no holds
I
barred
believe
here.
you. Brent can be bought, so, okay.
Brent can be bought. Yeah, that's the story around here, apparently, that I can be. All right, last thought. Speaking of the golf world, which has been crazy, you know what we're feeling here, Andrew? Like the whole live stuff, the where the PGA Tour is. When you have a tournament like this at the Players, or when we see you in Augusta at the Masters, I'm just not sure it matters as much. I think some of these events are so big that you actually can still enjoy the golf tournament. And right now we're enjoying it. It's a beautiful week here in Ponte Vedra. And Rory McIlroy and Xander Schauffele, some of the biggest names in the game, are at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I think it's a big weekend for the PGA Tour. It would be great to have some of these big names coming down the stretch on Sunday, battling it out for a Players title. You know, there's been so much of that other stuff, which you referenced, that it would be great just to watch a Sunday of golf, you know, and then that's kind of what I'm hoping for, not only this weekend, but in Augusta in a few weeks. So you're right. I mean, I think that these events are really what golf fans need in a way. We want to get away from all that other talk and just watch, and hopefully that's the case this weekend.
Hey, man, we appreciate taking a few minutes. Love catching up with you, and probably see you at Augusta after a busy few weeks of the NCAA tournament. Good luck calling all those games, and if you want to hang on for the next few minutes, you can listen to a few more commercials here in the break.
Boys, sorry about the technical delay, but it was great to be with you, and we'll do it again soon. Thanks so much.
Thanks, man. That is Andrew Catalan from CBS Sports, and he's an awesome guy on top of a very, very, very good broadcaster. He is a star in the business, and you'll hear him all month of March with the NCAA tournament. And I say this all the time, Austin, about Andrew. If you want to make sure there's a good finish or a good game, I bet Catalan's calling that game, or tune into the one that he's calling, because he gets some of the fantastic finishes, not just in March, but in the NFL. I mean, his resume of good finishes, and by the way, fantastic calls. He nails the moment all the time. I mean, it's unbelievable, really, how many good games he's called over the last 5 to 10 years. And I'm like, it's Catalan again. He's got that one again. It's like Harlan. Harlan seems to get that too, and I think Catalan's right in line with him.
Yeah, I mean, it's a special thing to be a part of such, you know, to be a soundtrack, really, of such great sports moments. And, yeah, obviously Andrew Catalan's been a part of a lot of those, man. So it's cool to see, like, listen, the guy's still putting his work in, man. Vocal coach, all this stuff, like, takes his job very seriously, obviously does his homework because he's always ready to go. And it's crazy how many different sports that he does, and he can flourish at every one of them. You know, like, I could probably do football. I get it. You know, I played it and everything, but, like, dude, you put me in hockey, and I love hockey, but, like, it's just the cadence is different, right? Like, every sport has a different cadence, and he seemed to master all those cadences. It's wild.
Here's the story with Andrew, too. I just give you a little more background on him. So we both worked in TV in Albany, New York. He worked for the NBC affiliate. I worked for the Fox affiliate. That's how we got to know each other. And he actually started his play-by-play career. I shouldn't say started. He did some college basketball and stuff in Albany. But he started to take off a bit when NBC called him and asked him to do curling. And they were doing like a world championship stuff event, and it led to an Olympic curling broadcasting career at the outset. He also called wrestling, I think at the Summer Olympics, I believe he called wrestling too. So he did a little bit of that stuff, then launched into the NFL, found his way into more college basketball with CBS Sports Network, and landed on CBS with the NFL gig, and now the NCAA tournament. And realistically, if you like broadcasting, I mean, he's really, really good, and he's worked on his craft well. But he is following in the Jim Nantz kind of footsteps. Nantz has backed off basketball. I think he will continue as he gets a little bit older now to back off other things, but he's got the golf and the NFL going for now. Don't be surprised some 10 years down the road if Andrew Catalan is like the new Nantz. You know, I don't want to put that on him necessarily. I kind of just did. But, I mean, he's really on that kind of track. So we're proud of him. Really good dude, and a great listen coming up for the Mountain West Conference Tournament on CBS Sports Network tonight and all weekend, and then on CBS Sports with the NCAA Tournament, and then with the Masters on the horizon in April. And, of course, you'll hear him during football season, too. We appreciate Andrew for jumping in. A lot of good conversation on the Jags. Good thoughts on Gabe Davis. He does cover that Buffalo Bills team quite a bit in the preseason over the years, so he knows those guys, Dave Davis and Mitch Morse. We'll take a break here at the Players Championship, TPC Sawgrass. We're live until 1 o'clock, and we'll check up on the leaderboard. Is Rory McIlroy and Xander Schauffele, are they still in the lead and trying to finish out a fantastic round one here on a Thursday at the Players. I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we're a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnicht Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnicht family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 2.9% right now for eligible buyers on Terrains and Acadias too. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnicht Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at nimnichtbuickgmc.com. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
The friendliest golf course in town, the Golf Club at Southampton. Local golfers have no shortage of options when it comes to picking a course to play here in Northeast Florida year-round. Yet time and time again, I find myself here at the Golf Club at Southampton. Easy to get to off 210 in St. Johns County. It's family-owned and operated and renowned for being one of the area's most player-friendly. That's just one of the reasons we hold the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18 charity golf tournament here each fall. The Mark McCumber design layout is great for all skill levels of golfers, from the guys who bomb it a mile on the range to golfers like me who are just happy to put it in the fairway, which Southampton has very accommodating fairways. And if you need new clubs, come down to the Pro Shop. They'll fit you up and get you a nice new set like they did for me. For more information on membership or to book a tee time and see for yourself, head over to golfsouthampton.com or call the clubhouse at 904-287-7529. The Golf Club at Southampton. It's the official home of the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18. Make it your home for golf too.
It's a new logo, new branding, but with Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. And with that comes the perks we miss in the big business world. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com. The folks at Bold City Heating and Air also know your AC unit is important and can be a big expense. That's why they have financing to help. No payments, no interest for 12 months on new systems. $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown. Bold City Heating and Air.
Thank you for making Action News Jacks the best in Jacks and Folio's Best of Jacks 2023. Best TV station, Best TV newscast, Best TV morning show. Chandler Morgan voted Best TV anchor. The Chief, Mike Burrish, voted Best meteorologist. And Brent Martineau voted Best TV sports anchor. And while you're on the go, Best news website and Best local blog, The Burrish Blog. Thank you for making Action News Jacks local coverage you can count on.
Stop by the new car sales event happening right now at Greenway Kia at the Avenues. $500 in a job gets you in a Kia. And Michael Montiero and the staff here at Greenway Kia are here to make it happen. Experience great customer service and become a part of their family. And while you're here, check out the Kia Forte GT line, full of comfort, innovation, and has driver assist technology. And how about the affordable new Kia EV9, the fast-charging, all-new electrical SUV with high-performance capability, 3-row seats with 304 miles of maximum driving range. Over 1,000 new Kia models, some starting at $199 a month. And as always, get the 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Come shop at Greenway Kia at the Avenues, located on Phillips Highway. You can shop online at greenwaykiaattheavenues.com. And remember, $500 and a job gets you in a Kia at Greenway Kia at the Avenues.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jax, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jax is always on. Now, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jax 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jax 24/7.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Okay back there? Should we throw somebody else in there? The most casual show. Are we going to label this like the most casual show out there? It's like...
Poor Brett, man.
I do like... Nah, I don't even mind it right now. Like, that's the thing. Like, I was just talking to Andrew a little bit. In the TV business, we do get a little like, oh, man, we want stuff so clean and perfect. And that's what we shoot for, we hope for. People don't understand right now. We're doing a lot of things like behind the scenes that are just different than the way we do TV. It's not operating from the TV part of the building. And it's really amazing what we can do. But with that comes some different challenges. And we're going to experience, like, this is really the first time we're on the road. We did the combine for a day. That was a little less complex. But we're trying to incorporate some other things like interviews with Andrew while we're on the road, or Stuart live from the golf course. And again, I just ripped down that fourth wall, but with that come a few different challenges. And I don't know, I just thought for a second like Hamby had a stroke to start this segment. I didn't know what the heck happened to him there.
No, I feel you, man.
I was worried about him. I mean, I got Pac-Man over my face. I got Austin just chilling out there like...
Yeah, I'm waiting for something. I'm waiting for a cue. Listen, we can be the most casual sports show or sports, whatever you want to call it, here in Jacksonville. That's fine, Brent. But you got to understand, you can't forget who you are, all right? And you're a perfectionist. And we need you to be a perfectionist because the last thing you need is three guys on the same show that are super casual. That ain't going to look good. Okay, that'll be like, a high school pirate radio thing. Like, we don't need that. So you got to hold it down for all of us.
Yeah, I'm trying. But, hey, listen, I mean, as I called out the entire Action Sports Jax team yesterday on the show,
you really did.
I'm trying to preach a lot of patience in this endeavor as well. And I actually do understand some of the mountains we're climbing. Don't worry, it'll be good. Like we say about this Action Sports Jax 24/7 network, we're off to a hell of a start, by the way. You can always catch us on social media. We want you to check it out on actionnewsjax.com and also the Action News Jax app. You can just download the app if you're watching from your living room and you're working from home on Roku and Apple TV and Google TV and all the rest. But what it looks like in a few months here on this Action Sports Jax 24/7 network compared to right now and in another year, don't worry. Don't worry. The bar will be raised, Austen Lane. The patience will not be where it's at right now from this guy here. So we'll be okay.
Oh, okay, because I'm scared of you already, man. Like, I'm over here, like, looking up golf research real quick in case you put me on the spot, because, like, you've been putting everybody on blast, man, giving out diss tracks to everybody, and I've been safe so far, man. I'm just trying to do my golf research right now. I don't want to talk about Sasha Banks last night making her AEW debut. Will she be with the Young Bucks or Okada? I don't got time to talk about it because we have Rory McIlroy right now putting up a hell of a score at TPC Sawgrass.
Very good transition. He is at 7 under par through 14 holes. Xander Schauffele, 7 under through 15 holes. Oh, I can't wait to give it to Ty. Hamby, you'll understand this. Austin, you'll understand this. We got a little pool going on, right?
Yeah.
So last night, Ty's given me his 4 golfers, and we're like, we got to go with Scotty Scheffler. He's hot. He's the favorite by a lot to win this, and so he starts digging deep. Right, you overthink this sometimes. He gets to like Min-Woo Lee, could be his sleeper. He gets to Hideki Matsuyama, but Matsuyama's battled a little bit of a back injury, but he's been hot as of late. Ty really likes Will Zalatoris. Well, guess who this guy picked? And I'm like, Ty, I like Xander Schauffele this week. Schauffele is a top 10 machine. He's on the verge. I picked Schauffele to win it. And guess who's in first place? But guess who did not pick one of their 4 golfers to be Xander Schauffele? That would be Ty. He chose the other guys. He thought he was the smartest guy in the room. Sometimes you got to trust dear old dad, and he's going to learn a lesson, I think, this week by not doing so.
I like it, man. Yes, so sometimes you got to humble your son. You should have saw me. I was at Collective Con, Brent, this past weekend. My son wanted to play Street Fighter in the gaming arcade. I'm like, okay. And I let him, I was feeling out the buttons, trying to do some kind of complicated combos. He wins the first match. Gritty's in my face, gets in front of everybody saying, you like that? Just like Kirk Cousins me a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Absolutely beat him, flawless victory the next 3 times. Almost to the point where he was in tears. I don't care. I'll put him on blast all day. Like, don't talk smack and then not be able to take it. And that's what happened at the Collective Con convention. I had to remind my son exactly who the gamer of the family is.
Hey, Hamby, your dad's a musician, you said, right?
My mom is the musician. My brother. My dad is the music connoisseur.
Okay. Is there anything is he athletic? Like, do you play video games or sports, or you guys don't play golf? So is there anything like that where you've beaten your dad?
My dad wasn't the most athletic type. He definitely just had the interest that got me into the game. A lot more knowledgeable than he is in thought than in practice. But one of the stories that I always remember.
That was by the way, that was a very good dance you just did right there. In case the family is listening, that was eloquently done by you, Hamby, at 23 years old, to not piss off your dad just yet, in case you need to ask him for a few bucks.
That man's doing the cha-cha slide all over that question. Good Lord. All right.
Well, I think, first of all, my dad is 100% listening. Second of all, he would probably give you a better answer than I could and be harder on himself. But one story I always remember, when we were playing Madden, me, my brother, and my dad, when I was real young. It was probably, I think, Madden 06 or 07, and we were up by 4 points. We were all on the same team, okay, against the computer, and you would switch off every play. And at that time, you could have multiple controllers in control, 3 players on defense, but then whoever got to pick the play, it switched off. We're up 4 points with about 20 seconds left in the game, and I was probably 5 years old. I called an engage 8. They throw a bomb for a touchdown, and I remember my dad just looked at me. He goes,
It's an all-out blitz, Brent.
Yeah. My brother's freaking out. Back in the day.
We're doing play calls here.
Yeah.
And my dad just looked at me, shook his head. Prevent, son. Prevent.
Yep.
And I never made that mistake again.
He taught you a lesson. Very good. So it does feel good to be able to get the kids once in a while, Austin. You'll experience that more and more as you go. But when you can one-up them and prove that you still have some ability. Now, you're in a better spot than I am in this from an athletic standpoint now. Like, it's gone past where now I can't beat Ty on the golf course most of the time we go out there. But if I can get him on a pick where he thinks he's like, the king of whatever daily fantasy there is, then I'm going to ride this one all the way throughout the weekend if Xander Schauffele stays on top of the leaderboard, although Rory McIlroy did just get to 8 under now and has a one-shot lead. So fantastic scoring out here, as we mentioned, at the Players, and we'll continue to follow along. Hey, you got any, we haven't done noontime news this week. I know you were out for a couple of days, Hamby, and I'll put you on the spot. Is there anything happening in the sports world other than Calvin Ridley went to the Titans, Jags free agency, and the Players Championship?
And yes, but right before we get there, my dad would be pissed if I didn't mention that he has gotten me. Ping pong was our thing. We used to have big-time battles in the garage, and there was a lot of times when I'd come back, thinking I could beat him, and he'd teach me a lesson. I think I could still get him right now. But anyway, the thing to have to have your thumb on right now is the tampering rumors with Saquon Barkley and now with the Falcons and Kirk Cousins. That is the thing that people are kind of on the lookout for. I've seen rumors Mike Williams to the Chiefs, and that would make a lot of sense in my opinion. So be on the lookout for that. Nick Saban continuing to kind of put out. It seems like it's like almost never ending. He made his initial comments, and then he went on the podcast, and now it's like some more stuff of why he's retiring, and in NIL and all that stuff. And Kirby Smart was actually asked about this at the very end of his interview, at an interview he did yesterday, or maybe the day before, but it was in the last 48 hours. And he was like, yeah, it's true. Because the way that the question was framed was, how much does it matter now when you pitch players on what your former players are now doing in the NFL, which obviously for Kirby and guys like Saban, that's their biggest sell. Look at what our guys are doing in the NFL. And Kirby's like, yeah, that is our biggest selling point, but it is mattering less and less. But it's not going to change the way I do it, pretty much, is what I got from him saying that. Is even if NIL is the biggest thing, I'm still going to tell these recruits, show them, this is where I can get you. I'm still going to develop you. Yes, NIL, we're going to get you some money, whatever, but look at where I can take you. And let those kind of guys speak for themselves.
Yeah, I think it's a delicate balance. I do think it's tricky. You know my deal on this, and I'm not even going to get into it again. I just think I wish these coaches would take some ownership of why we're here. And I don't hear that. I don't see that, at least in the headline. I got to dig a little deeper, and maybe they're saying that in a roundabout way if you take a look at the whole context of what they're saying and watch the whole interview. But I just don't see it loud enough that I want some of these coaches to take some accountability for where we're at if they're going to complain about it, right? They're the reason, in part, that we are where we are, the way they did business, the salaries they got, and I just can't seem to get those guys to admit that, which, again, is a power play in many respects and the way they want the game manipulated in their favor. And once it's not in their favor, it becomes a tricky game to play. I'm still wondering if we have figured any of it out yet. I still think we need another 2, 3, maybe even 4 or 5 years to figure out the best way to deal with it, because there are a lot of moving goalposts in it. Still the wild, wild west in many respects, and I got to believe at some point we'll get a little bit more, I don't know if it's legislation, but at least parameters around what's going on in college athletics. Austin, I wanted to ask you about this, though, and Hamby brought this up. It's like the Saquon Barkley stuff, the Kirk Cousins stuff about Atlanta and the Eagles and illegal tampering. Man, I have a hard time getting to a place. If the NFL wants to call something legal tampering, how the hell do you punish someone for doing it illegally?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's, I mean, I don't even know how to put it into words. You know, like, what's the penalty going to be? You going to slap him on the wrist? You going to take away a draft pick? I have no idea. Listen, I think, like, in terms of, all right, maybe the Eagles get caught, maybe the Falcons get caught, but one would think, like, if those two teams are doing it, I'm sure there's a lot more teams that for this cycle didn't get caught. I think it's kind of a crazy rule. I get rules are rules, and rules aren't meant to be broken and all this stuff, but, man, it is a little ridiculous.
Well, don't you think it's we just talked about NIL and college and all that landscape that's hard to navigate. If you have this window, Austin, and this deadline coming, and, like, you don't trust the rest of the league is doing it on the up and up, do you? I mean, I would feel like if I'm a GM, if I'm a front office person, if I'm an agent on the other side, that, I mean, you almost got to play the game. And we know this. Don't we know almost for like a fact that the NFL Combine is full of these kind of conversations? Like, this stuff starts to take place, always had, even before legal tampering, that these kind of conversations, potential trades, other things, were already being discussed at the NFL convention, which is also known as the NFL Combine. So, like, I get it, man. There's too much at stake in this business to not try to get the upper hand or at least be in the conversation maybe earlier than you even should be.
No, that's all this league is. It's getting that competitive advantage. And if the advantage means that, listen, you maybe got to go underneath the table a little bit, send out a DM or do something here and tamper a little bit, then yeah, then so be it. You do what you have to do. So I'm not naive to the fact I think every team does this. I think every team tries to one-up another team. So, yeah, I think that it's definitely one of those things where maybe a couple teams get caught this year, maybe next year, but I feel like everyone's doing it.
Hey, there's some new information out about the Jaguars Stadium. I want to get into this right now. We might take a break coming up in a couple minutes, guys. But first, a few early thoughts on what I'm seeing here on the stadium. I think this is out of the Florida Times-Union this morning from an article, and I'm just seeing it now. I don't know if you guys have, but this is really off Pro Football Talk, taking some of the bullet points of what was said in the Florida Times-Union today. the hope to do a deal that includes roughly $1 billion from the team, $1 billion from the taxpayers. Negotiations are moving toward an agreement possibly in the next 2 months. The Harvey Weinstein is the guy that actually is like leading this for the city, the negotiations on their end of it. What's that?
Is that his name? Is that his name?
Is it? What did I say? Harvey?
You said
what
Harvey
is Weinstein's name?
I mean,
oh no,
yeah.
I just saw Weinstein. That's my bad. Not Harvey.
I believe
Weinstein.
it's Mike.
What's his first name? Mike Weinstein. Sorry,
I mean,
Mike.
in terms of
Sorry, Mike.
optics, Brent, you want to bring more bad optics to this team right now? Good Lord. Bringing the ace
Sorry about
to the table. Okay.
Listen, I'm trying to digest a lot of information here in the real-time moment. Thanks for catching that. Sorry, not Harvey, Mike. This is the quote from Mike Weinstein. The Jaguars want to be here. We'd like them to be here if we can make the deal make sense for the community, for the Jaguars. No major hiccups, no major problems, but it's quite detailed. The last part of this, which is, well, not the last, the goal is to get something done in early May. And by the way, the reason why it's early May, they'd like to get something done, there's NFL owners meetings in Nashville in late May where they would like this thing to be approved. Now, I heard things had gone slower, and that might not take place until the summer, but this could at least suggest that maybe late May, this could be approved by the NFL owners, which would be part of this process. The other big thing, and we have talked about this is not necessarily new information, but it continues to be information which suggests they're leaning toward trending in this direction, and that is the stadium would be under construction fully in 2027, so the Jags would play somewhere else. But in 2026, they would actually play at Everbank Stadium. Capacity would be reduced to 45,000. Now, I first told you about this actually in London in a conversation with Mark Lamping, that he said this was on the table, but this is a little more detailed about what the capacity would be, reduced to 45,000 fans in 2026. So anyway, I don't know if you have major reaction other than me calling Weinstein by the wrong name, but I think it's significant to continue to follow this story in Jacksonville. And I think that adds up, right? I mean, wouldn't this be like perfect situation? The Jags play play their home games in 26. They'd have to leave just for 1 year, and this whole deal gets done by sometime in May, and we're moving on with a brand new lease and a stadium renovation, and by 2028, this place is popping.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the goal, right? I think you said the May timeline. You know, get the deal in place, take that to Nashville, then to the owners' meetings, go on Broadway a little bit, have a couple drinks, come back, sign those documents, make sure the Jaguars get the best stadium possible. I'm all for it. I mean, I think as long as pen's starting to get put to paper now, you like what to see. Now, once again, the question is going to be, well, where are you going to play in the meantime if you don't have that stadium for that year or so? And that'll be another question that'll be answered, but yeah, I like that they're making progress, Brent.
I love this, by the way, too, all right? This is fantastic right here. The last line in this Pro Football Talk article. In Jacksonville, the stakes are clear. If the deal doesn't happen, a relocation to London becomes likely. So likely that no one from the team really needs to say it. You know who's so disappointed here? That the Jaguars are going to get a new stadium renovation deal, that this is going to get done, the lease is going to be signed for another 30 years. Mike Florio and the Pro Football Talk folks can't stand the idea that this is going to happen and stay in Jacksonville. Don't you get that sense?
Yeah, I think there's a little bitterment, right, because they called the Jags to London a long time ago, so they kind of want to make right on that, right? They want to go back to those receipts and say, see, we told you guys, and man, we've been just chilling here, doing our thing in Jacksonville, still waiting for that London transfer, if you will. I mean, it's a lot like Brent Martineau with the whole Calvin Ridley stuff, where he just couldn't be humble. He had to go on last night and say, hey, look at what I said about Calvin Ridley. You guys didn't believe me, and he had to flex his muscles a little bit, much to the chagrin of Jaguars fans who, hey, you're celebrating the Jaguars not getting Calvin Ridley. Come on.
It wasn't a celebration of Calvin Ridley leaving. It was just a celebration of, hey, yeah, right. That's exactly what he said.
Hamby.
How much is he paying you, Hamby?
These days?
Be your own man.
No, man. I literally.
Hamby, I love this. You're right, man. Listen, I couldn't believe that reaction. I wasn't celebrating the fact that Ridley was gone, but if Ridley came back, Austen had that thing on tweet and ready to go. He had it ready to go yesterday.
You're acting like I didn't put out a video that said Calvin Ridley's not coming back either because he owes this team nothing. Like, I said the exact same sentiments. That's you and your feelings thinking I was going to do that. I probably wasn't. I was probably going to do that for sure. But, yeah, man, but I also said the exact same thing that you did. So what are we talking about here? And Hamby, if your sinuses start running a little bit and your nose starts getting runny,
give me a freaking break,
it's gonna be a mini Brent Martineau setting. Can't wait. Both y'all are gonna get your asses kicked by some flowers.
Unbelievable. Look,
the
I've sat here.
softest radio show I've ever seen. It's the softest sports show in Jacksonville. Bunch of guys getting their asses kicked by some flowers.
Listen, we have talked about Calvin Ridley for probably 25 hours combined over the last 3 to 4 weeks.
People want to talk about him.
If I could just empty my brain of what I think, I could to a T tell anybody in the world exactly what you think, Austen, about him.
Sure.
And what Brent says.
Okay.
I knew immediately when Calvin went to the Titans that immediately there was going to be a tweet sent out of that exact clip of him saying there's no chance that we let him hit free agency and we sign him back and all of this. It doesn't mean that that's what Brent wanted. Brent told you time and time and time again that he wanted Calvin back on the tag. And when he didn't on the tag, that he wanted to extend him. But once we didn't extend him before the tag deadline, he said there was no shot. And he was just telling you yesterday at 45,
It's unbelievable.
that he was right.
I've never seen fun.
I tell
Austen,
you,
I want to guarantee you.
He's good.
He's good.
Austen, I will guarantee you.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Next time, which I'm sure there already has been this.
You can put Pac-Man over my face anytime you need to. It's fine.
I've never seen somebody gush so much about somebody.
I'm just coming to his defense.
Then when it was Brent Martineau and Mike Tannenbaum talking about how the Jaguars are essentially the Golden State Warriors. He makes some pretty good points. Steph Curry's going to be Trevor Lawrence. They have all the pieces in play. How many championships they won, Brent? None. And here we have Hamby just drooling over you and your Calvin Ridley comments.
Okay.
Hey, go ahead and talk about Lad McConkey or whatever you want to talk about. He had a good pro day. Go ahead and bring the Georgia players up, and let's get back on track here.
Hey, all right, real quick, though. Number one, I will guarantee you, and this has already happened. I've come to your defense before, and I will guarantee you if this happens to you, which it will probably in the next couple weeks, when you have a take, when there's a video posted, I will come with the same energy.
Okay.
Number two.
Look forward to that.
It genuinely pissed me off yesterday when Brent tweeted that out. The first comment was from this guy, and he was just like, Happy the Jags lost him? Yeah. Thanks, Brent.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, literally not why you tweeted.
Yeah, that was me too. That was my burner account. Absolutely.
It was great. Like, I couldn't believe that was the first reaction to it. I was like, come on, man. No, it wasn't. And Hamby, that's a couple of times now you've interpreted it the same way. You can't interpret everything like Twitter and social media interprets it. We love you. You're a big part of the family, but I think sometimes the interpretation on social media can be a little lost in the actual translation of what should be. And I never said that. Just had to put it out there before Austen did because it was coming out, folks, if Calvin Ridley had come back to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I mean, we're going to have a runny nose in the studio. We're going to have 3 back-to-back Jason Hamby spots doing some kind of car endorsements. Can't wait, man. It's going to be awesome. This is my nightmare.
This is my nightmare. Hey, we're not going to go to break. We'll just go to the top of the hour. We got a few minutes left in the show. And let me fill everybody in on the Players' Championship latest leaderboard. It's been a fun show today so far, even though Calvin Ridley isn't coming back. McElroy's at 8 under par through 15. Xander Schauffele at 17. How about Tom Hoge at 5 under par through 17 holes? He had the record 62 a year ago, so he really likes this golf course here at TPC Sawgrass. Played well over the last couple of years. We'll have complete coverage of the players all day long. Tire Action Sports Jack's team out here. I'll be live at 5 and 6 as well, and then 11:15 on CBS 47 and Fox 30.
Hands raised,
just
bro.
Say about.
I have to raise my hand here real quick.
Hold on.
All right, since we're in the week of, I guess, complaining about all the technology and everything, can I put a complaint out there too? Brent?
Sure.
Permission to complain?
Sure.
Well, you have to say permission granted. Come on, it's like we're in the military.
Oh, permission granted. Is that what I'm supposed to say? Permission granted.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, there he goes. Hey, so you remember how on my laptop when I typed in how tall a player was and it came back in like meters? It was like the metric thing?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so tell me why when I type in the players, championship scoreboard, it somehow goes back in time, and right now we're at Rory McIlroy through 4 at -3. And like this is like the live thing on my laptop. So it's like I'm back in time.
Yeah, can you, at the top of that bar, just hit refresh? What happens if you do that?
Hey! Brent, I know that I'm not the most media savvy, but if you mean to tell me when it popped up and Rory McIlroy was at through 4 at -3 and I didn't think to hit the refresh button at least 10 times, which I did, then who are you dealing with, man? We've known each other for how long? You think I can't hit the refresh button?
Sorry, man.
That's not the issue.
I work with a 60-year-old guy on TV as well, and I just had my dad in town for 2 weeks.
Dude, most offensive thing Brent Martineau's ever said to me. And he's cracked some jokes about me getting, KO'd and stuff, and that's fine. But hitting the refresh button, man? What do you think you're dealing with? Yes, man. I hit it many times. It ain't working.
Okay.
You know why Austin's upset?
Hamby, you might have to help him out.
I'll help him out, but he's really upset because Brewers star closer Devin Williams just got shut down for 3 months last night because of fractures in his back, and I'm only throwing that in there because my fantasy baseball draft was last night. We started at 9. My buddy drafted Devin Williams as his closer in round 7 at around 9:35, and that news came out at 9:50, and we all clowned him for it for the rest of the draft, and it was a great time. But I'm sorry, Austin, I don't wish that upon you. But Brent, I'm just explaining why Austin's not having the best time today.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I went to bed early last night because I was tired from training. Got up super early to train some more this morning. Didn't know that information till you just said it. So, sweet. There's
your last noontime news. Devin Williams back fractures. He's out for 3 months.
Awesome, man. Thank you very much.
Hey, by the way, Garrett Cole, too, for the Yankees. They think they've got a team to run it, and obviously coming off Cy Young, and he's now going to start most likely on the injured list, and there could be bigger problems with Garrett Cole with the Yankees. So definitely some stories to watch in baseball right now. I think we've got about 30 seconds left in the show, well, about 40. So I guess we'll say goodbye from the Players' Championship for this day. And Asher Grodman's scheduled to join us from here tomorrow morning. We'll talk more about the Jags. Hopefully Austin learns how to hit the refresh button in the next 24 hours. And we'll
Brent, we're going to show you our new camera while you've been away. There you go.
Oh, cool.
New camera. Uh-oh. Brent's audio went out.
His audio, no, you
okay, now he's
you
back.
hit the wrong button.
Brent, come on, we got 10 seconds.
Brent, do you see a new camera? Ooh, rough day for Hamby. Rough day for Hamby.
Austin, wrap us up. We got 5.
Hey, for Brent Martineau, for Hamby hitting the refresh button, I'm Austen Lane.